SSSS. The thousand-hand centipede danced its pale corpse hands, its inherently cruel nature of poisonous insects leaving it not the slightest bit fearful of the approaching war, only excitement and a fierce desire for slaughter. "I'm very much looking forward to it," she said. Han Ruyin floated into the air. Her bare hand trembled, opening a hole to the ground. Sunlight shone upon her body, like upon a layer of opaque, dense darkness, emitting only a cold and solemn chill. "Still no news of Su Jie?" he asked. At the encampment of Ghost Ridge Palace, Zhang Junwei stood atop a mountaintop, the piercing cold wind blowing by. With hands clasped behind his back, he gazed into the distance, exuding a gloomy demeanor as he slowly spoke. Behind him stood the elder of Ghost Ridge Palace with the deepest tenure, Tang Peiqing, as well as Su Jie's master Taoist Chiu. "No, the information we've gathered confirms that Su Jie did indeed attack the 100 Rivers covering Sea Array, but now the 100 Rivers covering Sea Array has been repaired by Guanchao Pavilion. There has been no trace of Su Jie since," Tang Peiqing said with a heavy tone. Although he was reluctant to accept this reality, the information suggested that it was likely Su Jie had failed in his attack on the 100 Rivers covering Sea Array and was killed by Guanchao Pavilion. "I shouldn't have let him undertake this mission," Zhang Junwei said, his feelings complex, filled with regret. As the sect master, he was responsible for issuing the task, and now with complications having arisen, the disappearance of the sect's most talented immortal seed was a cause for heartache and regret. While the demon path values survival of the fittest and brutal competition, such standards are for ordinary disciples. An immortal seed was treasured in any faction. "My disciple isn't so easily vanquished." If Guanchao Pavilion had killed him with their hatred for Su Jie, they would have proclaimed it far and wide by now, rather than remaining silent as they are, Taoist Chiu said with unequivocal certainty, believing Su Jie was still safe. Tang Peiqing sighed. To go missing on a sect mission often meant there was no body left to be found. In Tang Peiqing's view, no matter how confident Taoist Chiu was in Su Jie, he should have understood that someone could indeed fall at a place like the 100 Rivers covering Sea Array. It was only the heavy reliance and unwillingness to give up hope on the immortal seed Su Jie that caused Taoist Chiu to refuse to accept the possibility internally. With this thought in mind, Tang Peiqing consciously changed the subject. "Sect Master, the current situation is tense. Our forces and the 5 righteous sects are entangled in combat. Since we are weaker, our main strategy is to evade and lead them into our predetermined battlefield in the Gaoli Mountain area," he continued. "Note that there's a formidable figure emerging from the Righteous Alliance army, Wei Ji, an immortal seed nurtured by Guanchao Pavilion. He is powerful with many treasures and methods. 4 of our sect elders have already died at his hands. Just the day before yesterday, we set an ambush specifically targeting him, deploying 5 elders, yet he managed to escape and even killed one of our elders in the process. He is extremely difficult to deal with. This person is now being used by the righteous sects as a tool for propaganda, undermining our morale, which has significantly decreased because of him. The righteous sects have been quite arrogant lately, but thankfully, it is their arrogance that keeps them from suspecting our baiting tactics, drawing them closer to our intended battlefield. When the time comes, a pincer attack with Heavenly Soul Sect will make those pompous righteous sects feel the plight of a decimated household," Tang Peiqing said, his expression souring. The fact that their own immortal seed's life or death was unknown, while the immortal seed of Guanchao Pavilion was striking fear into their enemies, was like adding salt to the wound. Moreover, it was this very immortal seed that had caused the fall of so many of their elders, making Tang Peiqing wish he could flay him alive. "Immortal seed Wei Ji, I have heard of his reputation. He's a leading figure among Qingzhou's younger generation. If Su Jie were here..." Zhang Junwei's first thought was Su Jie. As peers among the young talents, Zhang Junwei believed that with Su Jie's abilities, he could most likely contend with Wei Ji and even leverage the situation to boost Ghost Ridge Palace's morale and prestige. Taoist Chiu remained silent, his figure looking desolate, and for a moment, the 3 of them fell into heavy silence. Gaoli Mountain. This active volcano stood 2,300 meters tall, its terrain covered with rough volcanic ash, devoid of any vegetation nearby, and billowing smoke at its mouth like a kettle of boiling water. Similar active volcanoes numbered in the hundreds within this region. Due to its nature as an active volcano, the geological plate movements here were extremely active, with volcanic eruptions occurring from time to time. This also resulted in a barren landscape with thick layers of volcanic ash and strange landforms created by lava flows over the years. In such an environment, let alone humans, even few animals could survive here. Yet recently, this desolate, uninhabited region had gradually become bustling due to the confrontation between the forces of right and evil. Batches of disciples from both sides converged here and, using the volcanoes as boundaries, began the battle for control, vying for the volcanoes themselves. Both the five righteous sects and Ghost Ridge Palace had fire attribute offensive formations. Taking control over them and establishing formations would significantly enhance their power, a geographical advantage. The two factions engaged in a fierce battle for control, and due to the numerical superiority of the righteous sect, they seized more volcanoes. The reason a decisive battle had not yet erupted was that both sides wanted to capture more active volcanoes to increase their advantage and minimize casualties. Boom! At the base of Gowley Mountain, a figure slammed heavily onto the ground, kicking up dust and creating cracks in the earth. Nearby trees were uprooted by the shockwave and blown dozens of meters away. This person was an elder from the secret realm of Ghost Ridge Palace. He had met his end upon impact, decapitated and fallen. On the ground, two groups of fighters chased and fled, speeding across the desolate volcanic terrain. The retreating group belonged to Ghost Ridge Palace. The pursuing group, of course, was from the righteous sect. Among the retreating Ghost Ridge Palace forces, Ning Xinyue turned to look back at the leading figure chasing after them. There stood a man, tall and slender, dressed in a white embroidered robe, his long black hair lightly tied with a ribbon, eyes like shining stars, and his handsome face bearing a composed expression. With a flick of his fingers like the thrust of a sword, he generated several meters-long tendrils of sword chi that howled as they weaved through the air, relentlessly slicing through the slower Ghost Ridge Palace disciples, turning them into dismembered corpses. Even an elder from Ghost Ridge Palace met his demise at his hands. This immortal seed is ruthless. Ning Xinyue knew his identity, the recent standout in the sect war, Wei Ji from Guanchao Pavilion. She had been somewhat skeptical about the rumors surrounding Wei Ji, but today, as she routinely patrolled with her team, they encountered Wei Ji's ambush. She witnessed firsthand the truth of the rumors. A group of 200, led by two elders from the secret realm, had run into Wei Ji and barely stood a chance. Now one had already been slain. A bunch of defeated dogs. Run. In the future, when you see me, just grovel and whimper like today, fleeing with your tails between your legs. If I'm in a good mood, I might just spare your lives. Wei Ji stood suspended in the void, not pursuing relentlessly, as venturing too deep could lead to a mobbing by Ghost Ridge Palace. How dare you take my move? Amidst an angry shout, reinforcements arrived for Ghost Ridge Palace upon receiving a signal. The first to appear was a dark-skinned, robust man, a familiar face to Ning Xinyue and a newly promoted elder of the secret realm within Ghost Ridge Palace, Xiao Fengyuan. Xiao Fengyuan's left hand was entwined with a top grade 3 refinement poisonous insect, the multi-legged centipede, while his right hand held a black long spear, a mid-grade magical artifact. Separated by 1,000 meters, Xiao Fengyuan's spear erupted with a bloody glow, transforming into a crimson aura, lunging straight at Wei Ji's heart. The multi-legged centipede in his left hand swelled in size, drifting down towards Wei Ji. Before even getting close, numerous flesh spines extended from beneath the centipede like a dense forest of needles, swarming like a tide. Little sorcerer, let me show you what the Grand Way is all about. Wei Ji's expression remained unchanged as he caught the bloody spear with his bare left hand. His right hand reached out, palm enlarging like 5 massive iron columns, pressing the centipede from the sky dome to the ground, leaving a near 100-meter wide handprint. The centipede's body broke in several places. Spurt. Xiao Fengyuan spat out a mouthful of blood, His top grade 3 refinement's poisonous insect had been crushed by a single slap. Hey, your name is Xiao Fengyuan, right? The new talent of Ghost Ridge Palace's secret realm. Is this the strength of the young generation in Ghost Ridge Palace? Laughable, just laughable. Send Su Jie to see me, you're not qualified yet. Wei Ji held the bloodied spear with his pale hand, which contained a terrifying force. He snapped the mid-grade magical artifact into 2 pieces. Here, take it back. With a throwing gesture, Wei Ji's right hand surged with the aura of dragon patterns. In the next instant, he hurled the broken half of the spear back. Like a projectile from a railgun, the air was displaced, creating a vacuum channel. In a flash of lightning, Xiao Fengyuan tried to dodge, but the difference in speed between them was incomparable. The spear struck right in front of him like lightning. With a spray of blood, Xiao Fengyuan's left shoulder was torn off at the root, bleeding profusely. This was because Xiao Fengyuan dodged quickly. Otherwise, he would have been impaled entirely. In a casual manner, Xiao Fengyuan was defeated before Wei Ji. In every aspect, whether physical strength, spiritual power, or magic, Wei Ji was far superior. Xiao Fengyuan lost after just a few exchanges. Wait, brother Xiao, don't go. You're not his match. Ning Xinyue saw Xiao Fengyuan wanted to fight again. She stood up and held him back. This fight was meaningless. The difference in strength was too substantial. Joining it was merely courting death. Ha! Since you know you are not a match, call out your Su Jie. I've heard he is the leader of your generation. I really want to see if his reputation is deserved. Wei Ji had heard of Su Jie, the immortal seed, but Wei Ji didn't have the slightest intention of backing down. He would prove that there were differences even among the immortal seeds. Of course, if your people are afraid of dying, you can keep avoiding battle. After all, isn't your demon path always sneaking around, daring only to plot and assassinate in secret, and never face us head-on? Seeing the 2 hidden realm elders rushing to support from Ghost Ridge Palace in the distance, Wei Ji continued to speak harshly, appearing utterly unconcerned and dominant. At this time, reinforcements had also arrived behind Wei Ji, led by Yu Wenjing, Xiao Guanglian, and Emo Shiyao with a group of disciples. What good people are you, righteous ones? You drove and killed so many citizens as sacrifices. Just under those active volcanoes, there are many civilian bones buried in the arrays. Xiao Fengyuan held his severed arm, feeling somewhat self-blaming for his lack of strength, only capable of watching Wei Ji's arrogance helplessly. For the great cause of demon extermination, these sacrifices are worth it. As long as we can resolve forever the menace that is Ghost Ridge Palace from Qingzhou, we could enjoy a peaceful era for thousands of years. Sacrificing the individual for the collective, the descendants of these people will feel proud of them. Wei Ji spoke calmly. He was not one of those naive fools blinded by a zeal for righteousness. To win the war, the sacrifices of some civilians were understandable. Fair-faced, black-hearted, Ning Xinyue pursed her lips, passing judgment on Wei Ji. Unfortunately, Su Jie had gone missing for over 10 days. Although they kept it secret, rumors still circulated within Ghost Ridge Palace, saying Su Jie had met his demise. However, Ning Xinyue didn't believe it. How could such a bastard like Su Jie die so easily? She always believed that Su Jie was still alive. If Su Jie were here, he definitely would not let him be so arrogant. The more she thought, the angrier Ning Xinyue became, murmuring to herself. A murmur Wei Ji overheard. I really hope to see your so-called Su Jie. Too bad, he wouldn't dare to face me. Wei Ji, as an immortal seed of Guanchao Pavilion, knew that Su Jie had failed his attack on the 100 rivers covering Sea Array and must currently be hiding inside Ghost Ridge Palace, simply not daring to face him. Staring at Ning Xinyue, Wei Ji clenched his fist, his intent to kill palpable as he said, "No matter. If he doesn't come out, I will force him out, slaughtering until the blood flows like a river. I refuse to believe that we won't capture him when the sect is destroyed, then offer his head in memory of the righteous warriors dead because of him. We righteous sect will certainly win this war. Brother Wei is mighty. Victory! Victory! Victory!"
Kilsuye, Kilsuye, Kilsuye.
A group of righteous disciples flushed with excitement, shouting in unison, their voices thunderously shaking the earth. Behind Wei Ji, Mo Shuryao's gaze was dreamy, her heart fiercely pounding at Wei Ji's impressive words. This guy! Yu Wenjing felt begrudging. Ever since Wei Ji returned to Guanchao Pavilion, he had stolen all the limelight and attention, and now was even more assertive, issuing fierce declarations in front of the demon cultivators of Ghost Ridge Palace. Obviously, after today, Wei Ji's reputation in Qingzhou would be greatly enhanced. At Ghost Ridge Palace, many disciples turned pale and their morale dropped under Wei Ji's imposing aura. Despite several elders' presence to bolster their courage, their steps involuntarily retreating, their will to fight diminished. After all, ordinary disciples don't think too deeply, irrespective of whether Su Jie was truly dead or simply avoiding battle. As the recognized leader of the young generation of Ghost Ridge Palace, not appearing in response to the challenge issued by Wei Ji, the young standard-bearer of the righteous sect, made it seem like he was afraid of the opponent. Seems like many people are calling my name. Are you looking for me? Just when the morale on the side of the righteous was high, a voice suddenly rang out. The voice was not loud, but it spread across the entire field, a technique of using divine sense to transmit voice, something only someone of hidden realm cultivation could achieve so effortlessly. Ordinary disciples couldn't locate where the voice was coming from, but those inner disciples and hidden realm elders instinctively looked towards the dense clouds in the south. From within the white clouds, a huge shadow descended. The cold, sturdy insect shell, sharp oceanic teeth, hundreds of pale corpse hands hanging inverted like weeping willows, 6 pairs of wings stirring up gusts of wind. Atop this terrifying poisonous insect, a figure stood firm. Dressed in a black robe, his features handsome and his eyes bright, the young man stood there, looking towards them from afar. That voice had come from him.
Su Ye.
Elder Su has returned. Huh. That face. It actually appeared. No more hiding? It's him. Today we must kill him here. We can't let this devil escape again. This devil is too cruel. Everyone stay back. Be careful not to get killed by him incidentally. Ning Xinyue, Xiao Fengyuan, Wei Ji, Mo Shuyao, Xiao Guanglian, one by one, as they recognized the face, some were thrilled, some excited, some filled with hatred, and some terrified. The one appearing was indeed Su Jie. After leaving the underground space, Su Jie had spent 2 days returning here, including the time to capture prisoners and interrogate them for information. He followed the news all the way to Gaoli Mountain, only to encounter such a spectacular scene. The colossal body of the 1,000-hand centipede drew near, its fierce and terrifying appearance causing the pupils of all who saw this mid-grade 6 refinement poisonous insect for the first time to involuntarily constrict. Most people found it difficult to evade the innate fear of massive creatures. However, Wei Ji happened to be an exception. His face broke into a smile like a warm spring breeze as he saw Su Jie appear. I've been waiting for you, Su Jie. Although today is the first time we meet, it will also be our last because I've got your head in the bag. With every step he took in the air, a jade-colored staircase formed beneath his feet, as if ascending to his throne rather than heading into battle. I like your confidence. Your head. Then I won't be polite in taking it. The mirth in Su Jie's eyes faded. He hated it when others tried to show off in front of him. The countless onlookers around tightened their gaze on Su Jie and Wei Ji. Everyone tacitly stepped back to make room for the showdown between the 2 immortal seeds. Xiao Qian, bite him to death. Su Jie patted the head of the 1,000-hand centipede, and the 120-meter-long beast started to move. The bone-white cheeks split open, releasing beams of purple light ray along with the 6-colored storm that accompanied the flapping of 6 pairs of wings, raging violently forward. In an instant, the sky and earth lost their color. The storm ravaged, and the purple light illuminated the firmament. Wei Ji, without dodging or evading, crossed his arms in front of him, choosing to withstand the 1,000-hand centipede's attack under the shocked eyes of countless onlookers. Purple light rays penetrated to within a millimeter of Wei Ji's body surface. his body triggering a layer of spiritual power filled with dragon patterns emerging. It seemed Wei Ji's body was engulfed in purple light rays. But the purple light ray and the overlapping six-colored storm didn't completely destroy that seemingly fragile spiritual power field, only sending Wei Ji continuously retreating. Even under the dual assault, Wei Ji's demeanor remained calm and composed, his gaze tranquil and gentle, despite bearing the attack from a sixth-grade poisonous insect's killing blow. Su Jie's mouth twitched slightly, the first time he had seen someone put on such an act. The thousand-hand centipede felt underestimated and with the momentum of a collapsing mountain. Its massive jaws opened and engulfed Wei Ji, plunging into the volcano of Gaoli Mountain. It splashed a vast amount of magma, submerging into the boiling bubbles of the afternoon. Meanwhile, Su Jie hovered in the air, his eyes coldly fixed on the tumultuous volcano below. The skirmish between Su Jie and Wei Ji happened too suddenly. In just 10 seconds, they saw one man and one insect vanish into the volcanic lava. Seeing such a turn of events, the morale of Ghost Ridge Palace soared. In contrast, the righteous sect looked deeply worried. Wei Ji can win, right? Xiao Guanglian swallowed hard. With only the 10 levels of Yunling realm cultivation, he was somewhat lost as to who could win this battle. A sure win, trust in Wei Ji. Mo Shiryao immediately spoke out, her voice full of confidence, her source of certainty unknown. Wei Ji, I have to admit, he has never lost since his debut. Yu Wenjing nodded. Although he didn't get along with Wei Ji, he was quite clear about Wei Ji's strength. Boom! As if to validate their words, the volcano erupted, with countless streams of magma erupting into the air in the form of heavenly maidens scattering flowers. Following this, the thousand-hand centipede was launched out of the volcano. At the head of the thousand-hand centipede, Wei Ji supported himself against a pair of the centipede's huge fangs and surprisingly pushed back the thousand-hand centipede during their struggle. The contrast in the scene was stark, resembling an ant overturning an elephant through sheer force, stirring excitement among the onlookers. Get off me! Wei Ji's white robe fluttered in the wind, his hairband shattered, and his long hair wildly danced. He emanated the aura of a king dominating the world, his robust chi and spiritual power billowing into the sky like beacon fires, resembling a god descending, stunning the multitude of spectators. The thousand-hand centipede's massive body alone weighed thousands to tens of thousands of tons, not to mention its own immense strength. Yet, such a poisonous insect was forced open by Wei Ji, astonishingly bursting eyeballs all around. Sizzle! The thousand-hand centipede hissed and, opening its mouth, sprayed a death-decline curse cloud towards Wei Ji, who was just an arm's length away. They were very close, and Wei Ji was hit straight on, the terrifying aging curse spreading throughout his body. Minor trick. Wei Ji's expression darkened, and as the curse approached, layers of dragon patterns emerged on his body. These dragon patterns were of a blue jade color, and the powerful curse power could not penetrate but only flowed over the surface. Often, just after one layer was eradicated, new dragon patterns would emerge instantly. Seizing the opportunity, the thousand-hand centipede closed in, numerous pale corpse hands entwined, tightly wrapping Wei Ji into a ball. Like the constricting embrace of a python, the centipede's wrap was even more formidable, with countless corpse hands exerting pressure and pounding. Su Jie's face showed no joy, as he stared at the shifting corpse hand ball in the void, sensing an extraordinary aura from it, like the rising sun, or like a vast torrential flood. Above the vault of heaven, clouds tumbled, and a massive blue dragon apparition spiraled in the air. Its body undulated like ocean waves, and its whiskers were like swords, seemingly able to slice through the wind and clouds with every movement. Its eyes shone like two brilliant stars, exuding boundless divine power. Su Jie lifted his head, gazing at the blue dragon apparition that had materialized, its invisible dragon might spreading for tens of kilometers, as if declaring that this was the domain of a true dragon. Who is this guy? Could he have inherited the dragon lineage? Su Jie muttered to himself, the snake body, deer antlers, and eagle claws. This image matched the appearance of a true dragon in his mind. In the Tianyuan world, dragons are extremely powerful and terrifying top-tier spiritual beasts, rare in number. Every true dragon's strength far exceeds the Taoist platform realm, but few have ever seen a true dragon. Just a mere insect, no more than a heretic evil path. The corpse hand ball exploded, and the thousand-hand centipede's body was shaken loose. We saw Wei Ji reappear, his appearance having completely changed, his body now covered in thick blue jade dragon scales. As if wearing a suit of close-fitting scale armor, his eyes transformed into dragon-like vertical pupils. Seeing Wei Ji in this form, Su Jie immediately thought of a rumor. Legend has it that after someone bathes in dragon blood, most people gain enhanced physiques, but only a very few can inherit the true dragon lineage, becoming a walking humanoid true dragon. It wasn't just Su Jie who was shocked. Everyone around, whether from the righteous sect or demon cultivators, thought of this rumor. This is the true dragon body. Yu Wenjing gasped in astonishment, recognizing the source of Wei Ji's transformation as the Guanchao Pavilion. The #1 sect in Qingzhou had recorded many secret archives and physiques. I heard Brother Wei mention that he had teamed up with others to go to the East Pole Lake, where a true dragon that lived for thousands of years resided. Mo Shiyao spoke slowly, clearly indicating that Wei Ji had had a unique encounter in the East Pole Lake, acquiring the true dragon physique. Now the battle really begins. Moving his wrist, Wei Ji's body moved like light, instantly reaching in front of the thousand-hand centipede, throwing a punch that collided with the centipede's sturdy head. Bang! The upper body of the thousand-hand centipede reeled backward, its thick tail sweeping over, smashing into Wei Ji. Wei Ji stepped back a few paces, somewhat surprised. In the face of my dragon might, it still can be so fierce. Roar! The thousand-hand centipede spat out poisonous clouds, the purple light ray blooming, the storm howling, responding to Wei Ji's words with actual action. Ordinary spiritual beasts would tremble in the presence of dragon might, but the special nature of a poisonous insect shows no fear of enemies. The thousand-hand centipede, cultivated step by step by Su Jie to this day, was extremely fierce. Not just Wei Ji, even if a true dragon were present, the thousand-hand centipede would dare to bite it. Wei Ji frowned upon seeing the fiercely unrestrained thousand-hand centipede, then once again stepped forward, choosing to engage in a brutal melee with the thousand-hand centipede. His arms possessed tremendous divine power, his body as indestructible as a real dragon. Each punch and kick he threw burst forth with the glitter of 1,000 lights, like stars falling to the earth. Roar! The thousand-hand centipede, like a primeval beast, had its ferocity provoked by Wei Ji's fighting style, also engaging in close-quarters combat with Wei Ji. Their battle shook the nearby ground and mountains, ripping apart the clouds above and cracking the ground below with deep fissures. From sky to ground, and from the ground into the volcanic crater of Gaoli Mountain, causing the volcano to erupt prematurely, with hot magma covering the entirety of Gaoli Mountain. Is this a battle of the secret realm? Xiao Guanglian swallowed, watching the battle between the man and the insect. Even the nearby landscape had changed. If he were to go up, he doubted he could last 10 seconds. No, a typical secret realm doesn't reach this level. Yu Wenjing shook his head bitterly, seeing the battle ahead. Even his own confidence was shaken. He himself was of the secret realm, but in front of Su Jie and Wei Ji, these two freaks, he felt his past title of genius had become a joke. Not to mention anything else, just facing Su Jie's mid-grade 6 refinement poisonous insect, he was completely no match. Trust in Brother Wei. Mo Shiyao put her hands together under her chin, praying inwardly for Wei Ji. At the battlefield, the confrontation between Wei Ji and the thousand-hand centipede reached a fever pitch. The thousand-hand centipede, strengthened by Su Jie throughout its body, had nearly no vulnerabilities. Facing such a fierce beast, Wei Ji was still able to suppress the thousand-hand centipede on his own. Fortunately, the enormous size of the thousand-hand centipede allowed for a high error margin. Even when injured and bleeding, the thousand-hand centipede could quickly recover its combat strength by splitting and using its self-healing power. Wei Ji had extensive combat experience. He had injured the thousand-hand centipede multiple times, but for the centipede, injuries that didn't kill it were not considered injuries at all. Truly, when it came to endurance, the massive body of the thousand-hand centipede was not just for show. On the other hand, Wei Ji, who had entered this dragon transformation state, obviously had a time limit since he was not a true dragon but only inherited part of the bloodline. What a ferocious beast! Seeing this, two forked dragon horns grew from Wei Ji's forehead, and his aura surged once again. Visibly, his strength and speed also increased dramatically. In another confrontation with the thousand-hand centipede, just one punch, landing on the colossal insect body, created a shockwave like a heavy bomb had fallen, breaking the insect's shell and flesh and sending an air wave hundreds of meters out. Is this the second phase of the boss? Su Jie witnessed this scene, feeling a sense of déjà vu. Just as Wei Ji was about to continue, suddenly, a bolt of lightning fell, striking exactly on Wei Ji. The purple cloud heavenly thunder summoned by Su Jie caused Wei Ji's body to stiffen immediately. The thousand-hand centipede roared at Wei Ji from across the way and took advantage of the moment Wei Ji stiffened, opening its wide mouth, ready to swallow Wei Ji whole. Cool as a cucumber, Wei Ji, whose recent wounds inside the centipede had not yet healed, spat out a breath of sword chi. The sword chi, frosty like frost, burst open the wound, slowing down the centipede's speed. Seizing the opportunity, Wei Ji escaped from the jaws of death and chuckled. Divine skills? Interesting, truly interesting. It seems you, this so-called immortal seed, do have some skills. While speaking, a glint flashed in Wei Ji's eyes, and after dodging the attack of the thousand-hand centipede, he suddenly approached Su Jie. Wei Ji, who originally wanted to elegantly finish off the thousand-hand centipede, chose to attack Su Jie, the controller, after seeing that the centipede was tough to take down. With his understanding of Gu masters, he knew that their physical combat strength was weak. If he could take down Su Jie, then the thousand-hand centipede would be nothing to worry about. Seeing Wei Ji approaching him like a descending deity, Su Jie's face showed no panic, only shouting two words, "My lady." As Wei Ji's fist was about to reach him, a red wedding dress materialized in front of Su Jie. "What do you think you're doing to my husband?" Han Ruyan's deathly gaze locked onto Wei Ji, a strange power infiltrating as yellow paper money began to float in the sky in Wei Ji's clothing, without knowing when, changed from a white robe to a white funeral dress. His punching motion became stiff, and Wei Ji was inexplicably startled. A sixth-grade fierce ghost, and not an ordinary one at that. Paper money funeral. Han Ruyan didn't waste words. Her jade hand waved gently. She was adorned in a festive wedding dress, while Wei Ji was dressed in a sorrowful funeral garb, the two contrasting sharply, alerting Wei Ji internally. Great Chenkuan palm. Wei Ji chose to strike first, launching a palm towards Han Ruyan. His palm continually transformed, covering thousands of square feet, the very move that had killed the multi-legged centipede earlier. Han Ruyan's body, like a phantom, silently passed through the giant palm. The next moment, Wei Ji's limbs began to twist violently, as if he was unable to control them. Paper money fell from the sky more densely, each piece branded with a simple sketch of Wei Ji, as if the paper money was specifically burned for him. As the paper money fell, a blood moon appeared in the sky, notwithstanding the broad daylight. The blood moon hung in the sky dome, unexpectedly appearing and only over 3,000 meters above the ground. Han Ruyan's figure appeared on the blood moon, the huge blood moon reflecting in the depths of Wei Ji's pupils, dragging his spirit and will into it. Wei Ji's face was covered with dense paper money, which quickly enveloped his entire face, hands, and body. The paper money burned as if it would ignite his flesh. A grave mound appeared on the ground with Wei Ji's tombstone on it, ready to bury him. This eerie power, you female ghost. Wei Ji's exposed eyes suddenly became intense, his muscles tensed, and he stepped forward, compressing his spiritual power to create a terrifying sonic boom. He was like an angry lion, his eyes bloodshot and red. A ghostly soul body appeared to resist the eerie power. It was Wei Ji's primordial spirit. His primordial spirit, only a head shorter than his real body, nearly reached the great success stage, the level of Su Jie's primordial spirit before entering the Tao River. As soon as Wei Ji's primordial spirit was forced out, the paper money on his body instantly turned to ash, losing its effect on him. You picked the wrong target. A little eerie power like this is futile in front of my primordial spirit. Wei Ji's eyes burned like fire, and he threw a punch again, countless dragon scales scattering in front of him. He used his own dragon scales to trigger the exorcising and subduing power of the true dragon. At the same time, in the palm of Wei Ji's primordial spirit, a mass of red flame appeared, latching onto the dragon scales, instantly igniting them into a 100-meter-high flame flower, which he hurled towards the blood moon. Han Ruyan's brows furrowed slightly, her body sinking below the blood moon, thousands of tiny blood moons scattering like blood-colored cherry blossoms blown by a gentle breeze, violently colliding with the flame flower. The blood moon evaporated under the flames, the malevolent and eerie power turning to green smoke and air, dissipated by the fierce fire. It's not just you who has divine skills. My burning sky purifying fire divine skill will turn you into ashes today. Wei Ji spoke confidently. The golden flames were indeed a divine skill nurtured by his primordial spirit, capable of harming both body and soul. Faced with Wei Ji's arrogant words, Han Ruyan held a lantern in her left hand and a dragon phoenix mirror in her right. The character for happiness on the lantern was upside down. A line of blood slit across Wei Ji's neck, ripping it open with his trachea faintly visible. The dragon phoenix mirror began to devour the burning sky purifying fire, swallowing it completely. The lantern ghost and mirror girl, these two fifth-grade fierce ghosts, were utterly insignificant in front of Wei Ji, but under Han Ruyan's direct control, they could unleash exceptional power. Even Wei Ji's true dragon body could not withstand it. He bled for the first time. Cerulean dragon-like blood gushed out, each drop hitting the ground and carving pits 2 meters deep. Crack. The sky gathered dark clouds, lightning illuminating the sky dome, accompanied by the roaring thunder. Streaks of purple cloud heavenly thunder relentlessly bombarded Wei Ji. Wei Ji attempted to counter with burning sky purifying fire, but the gap between their souls was reflected in the power of their divine skills. As Su Jie's purple cloud heavenly thunder penetrated and extinguished the burning sky purifying fire, hitting 4 or 5 out of 10 strikes, causing Wei Ji's skin to split and more dragon-like blood to flow. Roar! Meanwhile, the thousand-handed centipede cooperated with Su Jie, tightly entwining Wei Ji, numerous pale corpse hands crawling over him, restricting his movements. Darling, please turn around. Su Jie slapped his sword-nourishing gourd on his waist. A white and a red beam of light burst out of the gourd, piercing the clouds and swooping down like a pair of intersecting flying dragons. The white-boned sky-slaying sword and the red training sword, these two top-grade magical artifacts worked together, aiming to decapitate Wei Ji. Following closely behind, the mirror girl secretly emerged from a jade pendant hanging on Wei Ji's waist to his back, her hand half phantom-like, executing a plain black tiger heart-pulling move aiming for Wei Ji's heart. This barrage of attacks almost sealed Wei Ji's fate. However, Wei Ji, an immortal seed, no mere fame-seeker, hailed as the #1 among the youths of Qingzhou, astonishingly managed to muster a smile at death's doorstep. As the multiple strikes approached, Wei Ji's body surface sprouted a purple jade wind umbrella, deflecting the flying swords, pushing away the thousand-handed centipede, and blasting the mirror girl away. You really thought you could kill me? Wei Ji spoke calmly, his dragon scales and dragon horns continuously shedding, spiritual light washing over him. His once stained white clothing now spotless and immaculate, clean and simple. His 3,000 jet black hair cascading like a waterfall. His obsidian-like eyes were like a dark abyss, deep and unfathomable. His features exuding an invisible killing aura. Whether you can kill me or not, it's not for you to say. Su Jie spoke, his gaze shifting past Wei Ji to what loomed behind him. Above the sky dome, 3 massive flying magical boats appeared, casting long shadows. On the boats stood a multitude of righteous cultivators, mostly array masters, who would operate the attack formations on the boats. Flanking the boats were dozens of spiritual beasts, such as the white jade spirit butterfly, the dream nether deer, the eight-winged ice phoenix, the red cloud sky bird, and others serving as the boat's guards. These spiritual beasts were mostly raised by elders and possessed formidable fighting strength. The three boats all belonged to Guanchao Pavilion, and only the rich and powerful Guanchao Pavilion could afford to maintain them. At the forefront of each boat stood men and women with hands behind their backs, exuding a profound presence. All of them were secret realm elders, numbering over 100 in total. This represented the entire core strength dispatched by the five sects. In addition to the enemies in the sky, on the ground, at the end of the horizon, a dense mass of righteous cultivators appeared. Guanchao Pavilion, Golden Sword Sect, Purple Mist Sect, Dragon and Tiger Sect, Miao Yin Temple. Disciples from these five righteous sects formed five great formations. Inner disciples mostly operated independently, while disciples below the sixth level of Yunling realm mostly moved in groups, relying on numbers to ensure their combat strength. A staggering horde of 50 to 60,000 enemies approached in an overwhelming tide, and as far as the eye could see, there were heads everywhere. Especially in view were the cultivators with cultivation radiating from their bodies. That momentum was almost enough to topple mountains and raise seas, giving people goosebumps. And behind Su Jie, an equally massive army was also converging. Roars, hisses, neighs. With various roars, huge flying poisonous insects emerged from the clouds. Elders from Ghost Ridge Palace either stood atop the gigantic insects in small groups or flew in through the swarming insect cloud. On the ground, 30,000 Ghost Ridge Palace disciples crossed mountains and valleys, controlling a vast number of poisonous insects, forming a dense sea of insects that swarmed in like waves. Because of the clash between Su Jie and Wei Ji, when word reached the rear, both sides sent reinforcements. Once both sides realized that the other was sending additional forces, they continued to dispatch more troops in an attempt to overpower the other. As a result, the battle that had been brewing finally ignited prematurely. Su Jie looked back and saw familiar high-ranking individuals such as Zhang Junwei, Taoist Qiu, and Tang Peiqing in his line of sight. Among the swarming Ghost Ridge Palace disciples, Su Jie also recognized the pupils of the puppet hall. They followed Zhu Zhangqi, bringing a batch of combat puppets, who took rocket artillery out of their storage bags and hurried to the volcano plain. The distance between the two sides continued to shrink, and the breaths of the cultivators became more rapid, their expressions growing increasingly solemn. Finally, the two forces stopped 10 kilometers apart, the murderous aura of battle permeating the entire battlefield. The sounds from the swarm of insects and spiritual beasts caused hearts to flutter, while gazes of tension, panic, anger, hatred, and excitement appeared on the disciples. Some feared war while others reveled in it. Ghost Ridge Palace of the Demon Sect, are you prepared for your downfall today? The majestic voice came from one of the magic boats, as Elder Zhuang Liangru of Guanchao Pavilion looked down sternly. The immense spiritual power fluctuations spread far and wide, turning the white clouds blue, as though a vast blue ocean floated in the sky. The sea-like spiritual power transformed into heavenly might, the vibrating air suppressing the void, as if at any moment, the upside-down ocean in the sky would come crashing down, obliterating all directions. Our Ghost Ridge Palace's lineage has continued for 1,000 years. You dare to speak of obliteration with just a few sects. Today, I shall ensure you come with a return ticket for none. Zhang Junwei stood atop a flying poisonous insect, his eyes shining brightly, his piercing gaze fixed on Zhuang Liangru, and the nearby clouds transformed into cloud mist poisonous insects, spreading like a legion of insects, adding a layer of terror to the sight. The clash of might between two Taoist platform realm cultivators created various phantasms of heavenly might, and this display of individual strength instilled both fear and longing in many disciples witnessing it for the first time. How arrogant! A trace of mockery flashed in Zhuang Liangru's eyes. He was already aware of Ghost Ridge Palace's trump card, their alliance with Heavenly Soul Sect to launch a pincer attack. Compared to the five righteous sects, which each sent only a fraction of their forces, Ghost Ridge Palace and Heavenly Soul Sect had both committed fully, resulting in a very close comparison of strength. Had they been caught off guard by a surprise attack, they could indeed have been thrown into disarray and danger. However, Zhuang Liangru had been forewarned by Wei Ji, so naturally he was prepared. Ghost Ridge Palace was doomed to fail today. Thinking this, Zhuang Liangru raised his right hand, about to issue the command to begin the war, when Wei Ji suddenly spoke. Elder Zhuang, I have yet to settle the score with this devil. May I ask for your permission to deal with him first? Wei Ji's voice projected as he looked at Zhuang Liangru with earnest and self-assured eyes. All eyes turned to Wei Ji, who made such a request at this time. Everyone could sense the confidence in his bones. Go on, take down the head of that demon cultivator as a war trophy. Zhuang Liangru gazed at Wei Ji for a few seconds, well aware of his own prodigy's strength. He did not believe Su Jie was a match for Wei Ji, even if the latter was also an immortal seed. If Wei Ji could defeat Su Jie, it would undoubtedly be a good omen for the war, greatly demoralizing and suppressing Ghost Ridge Palace's morale, ensuring a decisive victory in the war without any suspense. Su Jie, do you dare to fight? Wei Ji turned around, his voice booming like a bell, and his spiritual power erupted like a torrential river. In his left hand, he clutched the purple jade wind umbrella, the handle inlaid with purple jade, and the canopy woven from millennia-old true silk, emblazoned with patterns of the void. Wei Ji's purple jade fan was indeed a low-grade magical treasure, which is a level higher than a magic artifact. Every low-grade magical treasure has a starting price of over 1 million spirit stones, completely overshadowing all magic artifacts. Like comparing a flintlock to an assault rifle, its might is overwhelming. The purple jade wind umbrella in Wei Ji's hands came from a cultivator at the Taoist platform realm from the Guanchao Pavilion, known as Yu Qingzi, who meticulously crafted it by hand, imbuing it with his many years of mysterious Taoist skill and enlightenment. After Yu Qingzi passed away, this low-grade magical treasure was placed in the Book Collection Pavilion, waiting for an inheritor who could align with Yu Qingzi's path. Hundreds of years passed until Wei Ji appeared and inherited this low-grade magical treasure. What's there to be afraid of? A flash of coldness crossed Su Jie's eyes. Wei Ji's move was exactly what he wanted. Su Jie, there's no need to compete impulsively. Zhang Junwei looked at Su Jie. He felt extremely relieved at Su Jie's return, so he did not insist on Su Jie taking unnecessary risks. After all, Wei Ji's reputation had grown through his killing spree during this period. Every disciple of the Ghost Ridge Palace knew of him, and the number of elders who had died by his hand was already more than a handful. Are you confident? Can you win? Taoist Qiu had even stronger confidence in Su Jie, who wasn't necessarily bound to lose. If he were to back down at such a crucial moment, even if they won the war later, Su Jie's prestige would be greatly affected. Master, sect master, to me, victory is without a doubt. Watch as I take this Liao person's head and enhance our sect's prestige. Su Jie's voice was as loud as thunder. With those words, he turned around and revealed a chilling white smile to Wei Ji. Wei Ji, come and meet your death quickly. Su Jie and Wei Ji stood opposite each other in the void, with pairs of eyes from all around watching the scene. Both Su Jie and Wei Ji were the faces of their respective factions. The loss of either one would have a tremendous impact on the morale of their fighting forces. Wei Ji burst into hearty laughter, holding the purple jade wind umbrella and pointing it at Su Jie. Ha ha ha! You think you can kill me? As long as you can hit me once. Bang! Before he could finish, Wei Ji was sent flying backward. He flew like a broken kite, crashing into Gaoli Mountain and creating a huge crater 70 to 80 meters in diameter. The mountain itself started to crack, and large chunks of rocks tumbled down. The sudden turn of events shocked everyone, especially the forces of the righteous sect. Having just seen Wei Ji provocatively challenging Su Jie, they couldn't believe he was pounded into the ground in the blink of an eye, a stark contrast that was almost too much to process. In the sky, a fist wrapped in countless pale corpse hands appeared. It was this very fist that had just struck Wei Ji down to the ground. As the corpse hand's fist opened up, Su Jie's figure was revealed. Wei Ji's purple jade wind umbrella was a defensive weapon, yet during the recent attack, because Wei Ji was showing off and didn't open it, he was directly hit by Su Jie's attack. 5 elements demon suppressing handprint. Su Jie pressed his palm down, the 5 elements cycling through changes, his handprint looking like a great sun bearing down, with attributes of scorching, armor-piercing, and endless regeneration, directly suppressing Wei Ji lying in the crater. Gaoli Mountain seemed to tremble at this, with large masses of earth and stone turning to powder under the handprint, then scorched by high heat into flowing magma, artificially creating a magma lake with towering red light illuminating the surroundings. Disciples nearby, even if they were 7 or 8 kilometers away, still felt the heat wave hit their faces, cheeks flushed red, involuntarily retreating again and again. So boring. Is this all you've got? A calm voice emerged from the magma lake. The boiling, surging magma parted, revealing Wei Ji's true form. His black hair danced as he gently slapped his hands together, conjuring a vast flame from where he stood. The scorching flame took the shape of a true dragon, illuminating half the sky dome. The magma lake created by Su Jie, and even the magma inside Gaoli Mountain, all cooled down as the fiery flame true dragon absorbed all the flame's spiritual power, using it to nourish and grow. It was the display of Wei Ji's burning sky purifying fire, divine skill. On the other side, the purple jade wind umbrella spun, and Wei Ji proactively opened it this time, raising a purple protective light screen, allowing him to concentrate on casting with his primordial spirit. When it comes to playing with fire, you're levels below me. Wei Ji began to form spell signs with both hands, his 10 fingers flickering with afterimages. The fiery flame true dragon opened its mouth towards Su Jie. Su Jie was immediately surrounded by air that ignited into burning clumps of golden flames. Playing with primordial spirit, you're weaker than me, fool. With a single press of his hand, Su Jie summoned a thunderous roar and lightning in the sky dome, as countless bolts of lightning converged into a giant thunder lion that roared earth-shatteringly, pouncing and biting the fiery flame true dragon, mounting it and tearing at it ferociously. The fiery flame true dragon retaliated with its eagle claws and mouth. Plasma and magma dripped and spilled everywhere. The ground was either ignited or blasted into deep craters, resembling an apocalyptic scene. The battle between the two divine skills' external forms was a contest of soul strength. In this regard, Wei Ji clearly was no match for Su Jie. The Thunder Lion overpowered the fiery flame true dragon, and even with the geographical advantage of the magma from Gaoli Mountain, Wei Ji couldn't outfight Su Jie's primordial spirit. Fiery Sun Dominator Sword, an eye-piercing golden light sword as Wei Ji turned his body into a sword and lunged at Su Jie with enormous force. The corpse hands that blocked Su Jie shattered one after another, unable to withstand Wei Ji's deadly strike with his own body as a sword. From the insect control bag, a massive swarm of human-faced moths flew out, covering the land and completely concealing Su Jie's body. Thinking of escaping? With a piercing gaze, Wei Ji locked onto Su Jie's position while the thousand-handed centipede and Han Ruyan were not close to him, and in an instant, he appeared atop a small hill. There was Su Jie's true body, and just as Wei Ji was about to rejoice, Su Jie suddenly revealed a terrifying smile, his body disintegrating and turning into countless flying insects that scattered away. This was merely a fake body containing a part of Su Jie's flesh and primordial spirit. Su Jie had fed his flesh to the human-faced moths and attached his primordial spirit to every insect, and with a stronger primordial soul, he was able to block Wei Ji's exact sensing of his primordial spirit, ultimately deceiving Wei Ji. Z. At the same time, the ground beneath Wei Ji's feet stirred, and 2 beams of light, one white and one red, burst forth, startling Wei Ji. When did this happen? Wei Ji's heartbeat skipped half a beat. These 2 white-bone sky-slaying sword and red training flying sword that emerged from the ground had actually evaded his divine sense detection. The 2 top-grade magic artifact-level flying swords slashed at Wei Ji's neck at supersonic speed, but the sudden attack was still blocked by the purple jade wind umbrella, a low-grade magic treasure. A purple halo burst forth in an instant. Facing the slashing flying swords, The purple jade wind umbrella shimmered like a gem, with streaks of immortal mist dispersing, much like an immortal treasure with an imposing aura of immortality. Under its effect, the flying swords were deflected away by the purple jade wind umbrella. The razor-sharp sword chi couldn't damage the surface of the umbrella, much less Wei Ji whom it protected. As expected, quite a nuisance. Seeing his attempt fail, Su Jie had already anticipated as much. The protection of a low-grade magical treasure was indeed not to be underestimated. No wonder Wei Ji was so confident. You can't kill me with that level of attack. Oh, you're only making futile efforts. The protection of a low-grade magical treasure far exceeds your imagination. Wei Ji regained his calm composure, standing with a smile. His deep gaze turned towards Han Ruyan, who hadn't made a move, beckoning her with a gesture, as if everything was under his control, and any evil would dissipate before him. Han Ruyan's lifeless eyes showed a flicker of emotion as she spoke coldly, "Husband, get the banner." At her words, Su Jie raised an eyebrow and pulled out the 10,000 soul banner from his chest. Futile efforts? Then try this, my treasure might just do the trick. The 10,000 soul banner revealed densely packed runes, each seemingly containing infinite soul power. The banner appeared to be made of black cloth, but upon closer inspection, it almost seemed to have a luminous glow flowing within, like a dark and deep abyss. Today, I want to see whether your umbrella is tougher, or my soul banner is stronger. Su Jie waved the 10,000 soul banner, and in the next moment, the banner suddenly expanded dramatically, reaching several meters high and tens of meters wide, as if it could shield the entire sky. When the 10,000 soul banner was brandished, the desperate wails and painful moans of myriad souls echoed in every direction. Above the banner, faces of people, each distinct, appeared. Their only common trait was their resentful and wrathful eyes, as if they were the embodiment of all the negative emotions in the world, chilling to the bone. The banner, adorned with numerous fierce and terrifying ghost faces, protruded as if opening a gateway through hell to the human world. When Su Jie waved the 10,000 soul banner, the wind howled fiercely, and a massive number of Yin souls escaped, obscuring both the sky and the earth, eventually morphing into a towering ghost mountain. The mountain was 1,000 feet high, with winding, narrow, and perilous paths. The stones of the mountain were based on white bones, and the springs were all blood, foul and unapproachable. At the summit, there stood an ancient and weathered palace, within which there were several ghost generals, each about 10 feet tall. Some sat on rectangular divine thrones, dangling their legs, each stepping on a skull. Others sat cross-legged on hexagonal altars, their hands caressing white bone relics. Some stood upright as attendants, their bodies clad in armor, holding bone-breaking spears, exuding a chilling aura. These ghost generals, numbering over 30, were covered in an eerie ghostly aura. Originally motionless like clay statues in a temple, they suddenly began to move as Su Jie manipulated the 10,000 soul banner, confronting Wei Ji from afar with furious glares. Blood evil ghost formation, Su Jie uttered coldly, and the enormous ghost mountain split open, emitting earth-shattering noises, bursting forth like heavenly thunder. The whole ghost mountain glowed like a red-hot iron block, all the enormous rocks and cliffs twinkling with a terrifying bloodlight. The stench filled the air as blood continuously surged, and the ground shook violently as if it was going to overturn. Thick blood fog encircled around Ghost Mountain, and the sickening wind it brought reeked enough to make one vomit. The blood, a crimson river, flowed steadily around the Ghost Mountain like a red ribbon in the void. In the blood river, dismembered limbs, viscera, hands, feet, and skulls floated. Ghastly spikes topped Ghost Peak, with bodies resembling cultivators hanging on them, still maintaining the horrendous states they were subjected to before death. Wei Ji's complexion drastically changed. The originally dazzling aura of his purple jade wind umbrella was now overwhelmed with a blood-tinged evil aura as the 10,000 soul banner waved. Everything in sight took on a faint blood hue, including the purple jade wind umbrella. Almost the instant the 10,000 soul banner formation was complete, the terrifying blood river roared forth, charging directly towards Wei Ji. Each 10,000 soul banner had its unique properties, and Su Jie's was characterized by its use of blood as the formation. Wind and Thunder Fan. Wei Ji, no longer composed, wore an extremely serious look. Twisting the purple jade wind umbrella, he grabbed another low-grade magical treasure from his storage bag. The massive wind and thunder fan, 2 meters long, was vigorously waved by Wei Ji. It started as a gentle breeze, escalating to a fierce tornado, and finally, it unleashed bone-crushing, flesh-melting wind storms, pushed to the limit by Wei Ji. The Blood River was unstoppable, breaking through the fierce winds and exploding into millions of blood waves. The rolling Blood River was blown into tumultuous waves, but this failed to slow its advances. When the Blood River collided with the purple jade wind umbrella, the scene resembled colossal tidal waves crashing against rocks, stirring up boundless, tumultuous waves. However, the power of the Blood River far surpassed any sea waves. The Blood River, formed by Yin souls, this most Yin and evil of soul bodies, had the capability to contaminate a cultivator's magical treasure. 1 or 2 weren't noticeable, but in great numbers, even Wei Ji's low-grade magical treasures, the purple jade wind umbrella and wind and thunder fan, started corroding with a sizzling sound. To be so terrifying, it seems I need to get serious. Wei Ji took a deep breath, seeing the purple jade wind umbrella struggling to cope, its protective light screen severely damaged. His arms lit up with starlight, and his fists connected into a star map, carrying a mysterious and unfathomable power, parting the Blood River in an awe-inspiring manner. Desolate Heaven Fist? Tang Peiqing tore a few strands of his beard, greatly shocked in his heart. The oldest among them, having seen much of the world during his youth when he had traveled through the capital of the Delhi dynasty, knew that Desolate Heaven Fist was a deeply guarded secret technique of the imperial family, taught only to the direct descendants who cultivated it using the emperor's destiny. What merits and capabilities did this Wei Ji have to cultivate it? This fist technique was supremely tyrannical, said to reach the highest divine place when practiced to its extremity, covering the whole body in star patterns and starlight. One punch could invoke the machine of the Tao, termed as an emperor-level cultivation technique. Under the starlight of the fists, the Blood River split and exploded, but Wei Ji's moment of relief didn't last. The real power of the 10,000 soul banner then came into play. One by one, the ghost generals abruptly stood, stepping on the Blood River and rushing towards Wei Ji. The leading ghost general, wielding a battle halberd, ferociously collided with Wei Ji's fist, exploding like thunder, pushing the vicinity's blood waves hundreds of meters apart, swirling and backwashing along the banks, unable to settle for a long time. Instantly flung back, the ghost general's body cracked open with terrifying fissures, like shattered porcelain. A normal person would have been dead by now, but ghost generals are ghosts, not humans, hence they retain their full combat strength. The ghost general flew hundreds of meters from the Blood River and surged forward anew, accompanied by dozens of other 10-foot-tall ghost generals in a charge. I don't believe I can't smash you. Bring it on, the more the merrier. I want to enjoy this fight. Wei Ji's punches and kicks, domineering like falling meteors, consecutively shattered 6 or 7 ghost generals, utterly annihilating them. The sheer number of ghost generals indicated that both sides were headed for a war of attrition. Seeing this, Han Ruyin floated over, entering deeply into the heart of the Blood Sea array. Han Ruyin possessed an ability to enhance fierce ghosts and ghost artifacts. The 10,000 soul banner, a ghost artifact, was also among those being empowered. Almost as soon as Han Ruyin moved, the Blood River eerily calmed down. Yet the ghost generals' bodies glowed with a dense, blood-like red light, escalating their combat abilities significantly. Brother Wei started off fighting fiercely, but the number of ghost generals was simply too many. Just as Brother Wei had sent a ghost general flying, another with a 3-eyed ghost mask stepped on the Blood River and approached from behind him, grabbed Brother Wei by the neck, and spun him into the Blood River. In an instant, Brother Wei's spiritual power was suppressed, and his purple jade wind umbrella, stained by the Blood River's corrupt spirit light, dimmed dramatically, prompting him to struggle free and rise above the blood river in a hurry. But just as he surfaced, a ghost general wielding a wolf fang club struck a blow, hitting Brother Wei's head squarely. Brother Wei bounced dozens of times across the surface of the blood river, like a skipping stone, before crashing into Gaoli Mountain, causing countless rocks to explode and fly. Rip! Splatter! Two ghost generals almost simultaneously, while Brother Wei's head was still buzzing and he hadn't yet come to. Managed only a partial dodge when one swung its blade, severing his collarbone with a deep, bone-exposing wound, while another's long spear pierced through his chest. More ghost generals swarmed in. Although fighting them one-on-one was quickly resolved by Brother Wei, he struggled to cope when dozens of ghost generals, strengthened by Han Ruyan, ganged up on him. Brother Wei was impaled with a long spear against the cliffside, shockwaves rippled in circles, and more weapons were hurled at him, nailing Brother Wei to the cliff as if he were Jesus in torment, with blood flowing freely, staining the rocks red. It's these blood rivers. Don't fight them on the blood river. As Brother Wei endured a brutal beating, struggling to pull out his weapons to dodge, a sudden voice reached him. It was Zhuang Liangru's spiritual voice transmission. Clearly seeing Brother Wei on the verge of defeat, Zhuang Liangru was getting restless and decided to intervene unfairly. However, Zhuang Liangru's action was immediately noticed by Zhang Junwei, who, while blocking with his primordial spirit, mocked, "Heh? Zhuang Liangru? Can't you take a loss? Divine sense transmission. How underhanded of you." Zhuang Liangru kept silent, thinking, if I don't speak, it means I didn't do it. And Brother Wei, having received Zhuang Liangru's reminder on the battlefield, finally realized the situation. Those ghost generals were mostly fighting above the blood river, which was a result of Han Ruyan entering the array. Their combat prowess was extremely powerful with the augmentation from the blood river. But once away from the blood river, their combat strength would drop significantly. Understanding this, Brother Wei immediately created some distance, planning to use ranged attacks to wear down the soul power of the blood river or even break through the blood river formation outright. But how could Su Jie let him escape? Just as Brother Wei was about to act, the thousand-handed centipede with Su Jie himself arrived in the 10,000 Soul Banner's Blood River formation, and together with a large number of ghost generals, they tightly surrounded Brother Wei. What followed was naturally a merciless beating. Brother Wei seems to be losing. How is that possible? Brother Wei is invincible. How could he lose to a demon cultivator? Brother Wei must have a trump card left. Please believe in him. The surrounding righteous sect and demon cultivators were stunned to see Brother Wei turned into a punching bag, unable to accept their immortal seed being hammered. Ha ha! Brother Su is fighting well. Keep hitting that man in white. Let him enjoy being exalted. Victory to Brother Su. You are the strongest immortal seed. The one on the other side is just a sham. Now see who the real immortal seed is. Listen up, you righteous sect slackers, your so-called immortal seed is no good. There's a difference between immortal seeds. On the side of Ghost Ridge Palace, morale skyrocketed, catching admiring glances at Su Jie pursuing Brother Wei across the battlefield. The 10,000 Soul Banner, a banner of the 10,000 souls level. Both the righteous and demon cultivators at the scene were shocked by the sudden reveal of Su Jie's 10,000 Soul Banner. But those most surprised were a group of cultivators hiding 100 kilometers away in a cave dwelling created within an underground volcano. Numbering over 10,000, dressed in black ghost robes, some with withered faces, some skeletal as if nearing death, and some with the heavy stench of decay. These people were the chosen allies of Ghost Ridge Palace in the war, the Heavenly Soul Sect's contingent. They used ghost spirits to lay down arrays, hiding in advance. Without specific investigation, their location would remain undetected. They were waiting for the right moment, ready to burst out when the battle was most intense, to catch the righteous sect troops by surprise from behind and create a pincer attack with Ghost Ridge Palace. Inside the cave dwelling, a water mirror hovered in the air, displaying scenes from the battlefield. This is the immortal seed of Ghost Ridge Palace you mentioned. Standing at the forefront near the water mirror was a man with a gloomy face, a hooked nose and slender eyebrows. He was none other than Lu Jingshi, the sect master of Heavenly Soul Sect, with the cultivation of the Taoist platform realm. This battle was crucial for the future survival of Heavenly Soul Sect, so his personal involvement was essential. Behind Lu Jingshi stood 37 secret realm elders, with Heavenly Soul Sect bringing almost all of its resources to the battle. To the sect master, it is indeed this person. We have a grudge with him, for it was he who took the ghost bride from us, Zhao Lianshan reported, bowing. Previously, he had taken Zhou Minzhen to Su Jie to demand the ghost bride. But not only did they fail to retrieve it, Su Jie humiliated them by defeating 10 of them single-handedly afterward. On their return journey, they further discovered that Zhou Minzhen had mysteriously vanished, and Zhao Lianshan suspected that Su Jie was likely responsible. As Zhao Lianshan spoke, he looked at Han Ruyan's figure in the arena, his eyes full of unwillingness. A 10,000 soul banner, quite the ruthless and vicious character. I wonder how many have been killed to refine such a thing. If such an immortal seed had come from our Heavenly Soul Sect, the revival of our sect would have been in sight. Lu Jingshi felt a profound sense of emotion, his gaze tinged with a degree of envy for Zhang Junwei's good luck. How come his own sect couldn't produce an immortal seed, especially one so young who could cultivate the 10,000 soul banner? One glance at the banner and you knew that Su Jie was a merciless killer who regarded human life as worthless, the most suitable disciple for their Heavenly Soul Sect's nature. However, what Lu Jingshi didn't know was that Su Jie's 10,000 soul banner, besides a portion of human souls, mainly drew on soul power from livestock, a far cry from the carnage he imagined Su Jie committing in his conquest of cities. The sect master worries too much. Once we stabilize our position in Qingzhou and attract talented disciples to join us, there will certainly be immortal seeds and geniuses. We won't be inferior to Ghost Ridge Palace. Zhao Lianshan flattered, and the other elders quickly chimed in with their agreement. Indeed, once we resolve this war, we too should focus on our development for a while. Lu Jingshi shook his head, and while paying attention to the battlefield situation, he suddenly let out a light chuckle. It looks like the outcome will be decided now. Above the battlefield, Wei Ji's body plowed a deep trench several hundred meters long across the ground, shattering several huge rocks before he finally managed to stop. At this moment, Wei Ji was far from his former grace. His once immaculate white clothing was now ragged like strips of cloth, messily hanging from his body, covered in bloodstains that nearly drained all the blood from his body. If it wasn't for Wei Ji's extraordinary true dragon body and its associated life force, he would have died in the melee. When Wei Ji, with his knees propping him up, staggerly stood, his body fractured in many places, his movements became extremely unsteady and difficult. With one unsteady move, he fell to his knees, actually kneeling in front of Su Jie. Su Jie stood on top of the 1,000-hand centipede, receiving Wei Ji's kneeling, and said with a faint smile, "Seeking mercy? The so-called immortal seed of Guanchao Pavilion, the premier youth of Qingzhou, is but SOSO. Wei Ji's face was pale, whether from loss of blood or rage induced by Su Jie was unclear. His eyes were bloodshot red, overflowing with anger. Even more enraged were the righteous disciples who witnessed this disheartening scene. Am I seeing things? Brother Wei is actually kneeling to that devil. It's over. Brother Wei has really lost, his backbone broken, kneeling before the devil begging for mercy. I'm ashamed to be associated with someone like this. Better to die than to surrender. It's a total disgrace to our righteous sect's style." The expressions of many righteous sect disciples were on the verge of collapse, with Wei Ji's defeat, and especially his kneeling and pleading, causing their morale to plummet. Impossible. How could Brother Wei possibly lose? Mo Shiyao clenched her fists tightly, unwilling to accept this fact. It's because the opponent is too strong. That guy is simply inhuman. Xiao Guanglian swallowed hard, feeling a profound shock for this battle. He's lost. Yu Wenjing's emotions were complex. This was the first time he saw Wei Ji lose, and it could very likely mean death. Haha, I knew that kid could win. On Ghost Ridge Palace's side, Taoist Qiu burst into hearty laughter, his voice filled with relief and pride. Worthy of being our sect's prodigy. Zhang Junwei's smile was faint, Su Jie's performance exceeding his expectations. Just as I thought. The victor is him, he's grown even stronger. Ning Xinyue muttered to herself. She was only at the first level of the secret realm cultivation, while Su Jie had run off to the third level. His combat ability was so strong that it was beyond measure, and she didn't know how Su Jie cultivated. Wei Ji's face turned from green to white as he heard the discussions of the others. He violently reached into his storage bag and took out a pitch-black stone fragment, intending to swallow it. This was a fragment of a Dragon Ball, which he had acquired by chance. It was also the key to why he was able to achieve the physique of a true dragon. As long as he ingested the Dragon Ball fragment, he could temporarily possess the physical prowess truly comparable to that of a true dragon. However, the consequence would be his death and the dissipation of his soul afterward. It was a mutual destruction move. Let's all die together. Wei Ji's facial features twisted as he was about to swallow the Dragon Ball fragment. But before Wei Ji's hand reached his mouth, his right hand was severed at the wrist. Han Ruyan appeared, holding the white-boned sky-slaying sword in her hand, and with one swing, she chopped off his palm. With a flick of his finger, Su Jie caught the Dragon Ball fragment in his hand. I was on guard against this trick of yours all along. You people always have some bizarre last-ditch methods. I've actually caught one in the act. With a cheerful smile, Su Jie put away the Dragon Ball fragment and, holding the red training flying sword, he advanced step by step toward him, ready to personally decapitate him. Give it back to me. It's mine. Wei Ji broke down. His last life-threatening trump card had just been wasted, and he felt as if he were going mad. It's over. As Su Jie raised the flying sword high and was about to behead the other party, he suddenly heard a loud shout, "How dare you, boy!" Zhuang Liangru's roar was earth-shattering, and he could no longer restrain himself. Humph! Responding to him was the cold and ruthless swing of Su Jie's sword. Accompanied by a splash of fresh blood onto Su Jie's pants, he held up Wei Ji's unresigned severed head with his left hand and bellowed, "The slayer of Wei Ji is Su Jie of Ghost Ridge Palace. Who dares to challenge?" The scene fell silent. At the righteous sect's side, one could hear a pin drop. Each righteous disciple had a numb and pained look in their eyes, some even shedding hot tears, like Mo Shiryao. On the side of Ghost Ridge Palace, after a brief silence, there erupted cheers and roars like a tidal wave.
Su Ye, Su Ye, Su Ye.
This momentum was earth-shattering, like raging fire boiling oil, echoing endlessly between heaven and earth. Familiar faces like Ning Xinyue, Xiao Fengyuan, Tang Peiqing, and Zhang Junwei looked toward Su Jie with excitement, exhilaration, relief, and emotion. Even the usually stern Taoist Qiu's old face bloomed into a chrysanthemum-like smile. All troops attack. Today we shall annihilate Ghost Ridge Palace here and now. Also, anyone who slays Su Jie will be rewarded with 5 million spirit stones. Zhuang Liangru, who had previously wanted to intervene and rescue, was blocked by Zhang Junwei. He watched powerlessly as his prized immortal seed was beheaded by Su Jie. His eyes were filled with a murderous fury that could no longer be controlled, and he issued a deafening war command, putting a bounty of 5 million spirit stones on Su Jie. All elders and disciples of Ghost Ridge Palace heed my order. Today we shall exterminate all these righteous scum and protect our Mountain Gate heritage. If the blood of the righteous does not flow into a river, we shall not cease. With a grand wave of his hand that resounded like thunder, Zhang Junwei sent forth his message to all corners, making the same war response. Kill, kill, kill. Slaughter all these righteous scum. Fight, fight, fight. Exterminate these demon cultivators and glorify our righteous sect. The two forces of right and evil clashed like opposing torrents, blood enemies meeting with particular enmity. In an instant, they charged toward each other across the entire area, with magic artifacts, flying swords, talismans, magics, arrays, spiritual beasts, poisonous insects, magic boats. Countless secret techniques collided, with blood and limbs flying everywhere. The war entered its final decisive stage. When the war began, the first to engage were the Secret Realm elders high above in the sky. Elder after elder either flew on their own spiritual power or rode on flying poisonous insects and flying spiritual beasts, their combat spiritual waves ripping through the clouds. Countless magic artifacts crisscrossed and collided in the sky, with the aftermath spreading far and wide, staining the sky in mottled colors. From time to time, a figure would plummet from the sky. Even in the Secret Realm, it was easy to meet instant death in such a widespread group assault. The inner disciples followed closely in engagement. These inner disciples acted alone, each locking into duel-like combat with one another. Their battles, while not as exaggerated as those of the Secret Realm, were more gruesome, with a very high death rate. The outer disciples, on the other hand, mostly formed into battle formations, clustering together like communal animals huddling for warmth, in order to maintain their combat effectiveness. Otherwise, a single charge from an inner disciple would certainly lead to heavy casualties. With their numbers increased, the inner disciples also had to be cautious. If they were not careful and went too deep into the array, they would be surrounded and gradually whittled down to death. Meanwhile, as the war erupted, the disciples of the puppetry hall also sprang into action from behind the battlefield. They removed the covers from the rocket artillery launch vehicles and, with the help of a large number of disciples with Yunling first and second level cultivation, lifted and loaded the rockets into the launch tubes. The rocket teams made fine adjustments, aiming their muzzles at where the outer disciples of the righteous sects were forming their battle formations. At this moment, Su Jie had already fallen back to this position, swallowing elixirs to recover his spiritual power while commanding the rocket artillery's launch operations. Is this the new puppet invention you've come up with in Puppet Hall? It doesn't look very impressive. A voice came from the side as Ning Xinyue, the slacker, came over to Su Jie's location, curiously staring at the bustling launch site. These rocket artillery pieces looked somewhat ordinary and unremarkable compared to the humanoid combat puppets that seemed more intimidating. Puppets are not about looks, they just need to be practical. Just watch. Su Jie knocked Ning Xinyue's head and looked at the others. Are we ready? Hall Master, please give your command. Zhu Zhangqi responded loudly, his gaze fixed on the launch site, his eyes filled with both tension and excitement. He was well aware that these seemingly simple war puppets would be terrifying in their lethality once they launched a full assault. The first launch battalion is ready for adjustment, ready to fire at any time. The second launch battalion is ready for adjustment, ready to fire at any time. The third launch battalion. Several responses came through, with 500 rocket artillery divided into 5 launching grounds, each aiming at the forces of the Golden Sword Sect, Guanchao Pavilion, Dragon and Tiger Sect, Purple Mist Sect, and Miaoyin Temple. They were all cultivators, so the loading speed was much faster than that of ordinary soldiers. A 220mm caliber rocket weighing around 300 kilograms could be carried by 2 low-level cultivators without the need for any machinery assistance. Prepare. Su Jie raised his right hand, and the disciples of the puppet hall placed their hands on the firing ropes. Fire! Following Su Jie's command, the puppet hall disciples decisively pulled the firing ropes. In a sharp buzzing sound, the cold steel vehicles shook, with 32 cold launch rails arranged in a 4x8 array. One rocket after another lit up with a scorching tail flame of spiritual power, propelling the heavy projectile. Whoosh! 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 One rocket after another soared into the sky through the thick smoke, and in less than half a minute, a rocket artillery could finish firing all 32 rockets. This time, a full 500 rocket artillery fired simultaneously, sending a whopping 16,000 rockets into the sky, like a rain of fire, their trailing sparks covering the field of vision. The many righteous disciples engaged in battle looked up, some puzzled by the sight, and others, although they had never seen rockets before, could tell that anything crashing down on their heads was very dangerous. Many disciples tried to dodge, but there were far too many rockets, and it was not easy to escape their coverage area. In short flight, the folding fins on the rockets maintained stability, ensuring that most of the rockets landed at the designated bombing sites. An disciple from Guanchao Pavilion saw a rocket land about a dozen meters away. It was his first time seeing such a magic artifact, rolling and cylindrical in shape. "What's this?" Before the disciple could finish speaking, he suddenly saw the cylinder burst open, splashing black liquid all around. Ah! 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 When the liquid touched his body, the disciple let out an inhuman scream. His flesh was dissolved by the corrosive acid, revealing stark bones and internal organs. In an instant, he collapsed to the ground, smoking, with only half of his mutilated body remaining. Similar scenes unfolded simultaneously across the battlefield. Boom! 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 Rockets landed and burst open, spraying acid in all directions. A single rocket could cover an area the size of a soccer field, its devastating effect of destruction unmatched. The ground was corroded into a pockmarked landscape, resembling the surface of the moon. As for the disciples without any protection, one by one the righteous disciples howled in agony as their flesh dissolved under the acid, rendering them battle incapable in a short time even if they weren't killed outright. And this was merely one form of attack. The rockets were loaded with more than just the acid of human-faced moths. Boom! A cluster of rockets fell onto the territory of the Purple Mist sect, and out from the shattered casings emerged poisonous insects that resembled fireflies, their tails flashing green lights. They seemed beautiful from afar, but upon nearing a cultivator, they'd self-destruct, scattering a shower of green phosphorus flames. These phosphorus flames were like white phosphorus incendiaries, burning on contact with flesh and using the victim's body as fuel, gnawing through the flesh like a scorching worm until they burned a hole right through. Bang! In the area of Miao Yin Temple, many female disciples fell to the ground with faces twisted in pain. The rocket that had landed carried a multitude of spider-like poison insects. Upon impact, they quickly leapt onto people. One bite was enough to cease the flow of qi in lower cultivation disciples in just moments. Then, these spider poison insects would lay their eggs on the still warm corpses to cultivate their nests. Minutes later, more tiny spider larvae emerged, ravenously gnawing at the corpses for nourishment. After devouring the bodies down to their bones, they would attack more righteous cultivators, starting a new cycle of egg-laying and hatching. Dozens of different rockets were a contribution from various elders of Ghost Ridge Palace, enhancing the power of the rockets and ensuring a varied attack to avoid being countered by the enemy. The lower-level disciples faced the rockets' rich and powerful onslaught. If they were within the blast radius, they were bound to be killed or wounded. Only those inner disciples above the 6th level of Yunling were able to effectively dodge and resist. The rocket team was relatively slow, making it easy to dodge and destroy in advance, or they could simply activate a shield of spiritual power to fend off the attacks. They had plenty of methods at their disposal. But the outer disciples, for the most part, lacked such means to deal with the attacks. A total of 16,000 rockets brought almost apocalyptic destruction. Countless righteous disciples became the first victims under the rocket's debut, with mangled corpses strewn everywhere due to the blanket bombing. It was a horrific sight to behold. With their vast killing range and number, the rocket's carpet bombing caused staggering casualties. These were the supermen in the eyes of Blue Star, yet they were slaughtered en masse, leaving dead bodies everywhere. It wasn't just the ordinary outer disciples who were terrified. Even the inner disciples panicked, and even the secret realm elders, who were battling high above, began to cast concerned glances. These puppets are too horrific, as if they were born for war. Ning Xinyue gaped in shock, her mouth forming a cute O shape. The rocket artillery, which seemed quite ordinary just moments ago in her eyes, had instantly transformed into a weapon of slaughter. Even the disciples from Ghost Ridge Palace, where the rockets were highly classified and many had never seen them before, were stunned by their power. Questions arose on when the puppet hall had become so formidable, and following this, morale surged once again. That's why I say, it's not always the most expensive puppets that are the best. The cheap ones can be very practical too. Su Jie chuckled softly, turning his head to order, "Hurry and prepare for the second round of loading and firing." Understood. Zhu Zhangqi's face flushed with excitement as he turned to command the operation. Like Zhu Zhangqi, Many disciples of the puppet hall, seeing their own handiwork killing so many enemies in one go, felt a surge of pride and excitement that banished all traces of fatigue. They were driven to promptly reload the rocket artillery. Minutes later, the second round was loaded and decisively fired in another round of blanket bombing. The sky once again showered down a meteoric downpour of fire, prompting Su Jie to mutter, "It's literally like throwing money away. War really does burn through funds." Each rocket cost 5 spirit stones. Su Jie sold them to Ghost Ridge Palace for 10, meaning a single barrage cost a total of 160,000 spirit stones. But the resulting carnage was indeed substantial. Despite the righteous disciples preparing for the second volley by destroying some of the rockets with flying swords and talismans, the sheer number of rockets and the vast coverage of their destruction overwhelmed them. No matter how the righteous disciples intercepted and scrambled to evade, the rockets still caused massive casualties. And with most of the 60,000-strong army of the righteous sects being outer disciples, if the rocket artillery continued to fire round after round, perhaps after a dozen or so barrages, the ranks of the outer disciples of the entire Righteous Alliance army would likely collapse. While the loss of outer disciples might not decide the outcome of the war, they were all sect members and being slaughtered like chickens and sheep en masse, amounting to a potential break in the sect's lineage, which many could not bear. Just as the rocket artillery was preparing for a third barrage, trouble arrived. A massive magic boat cloud-hopping across the sky moved through the void, its spirit pressure causing the air to sing. On board were many elders from various sects, all united with the sole purpose of destroying the rocket artillery launch site. The huge shadow cast by the magic boat was cause for concern for everyone except Su Jie. The puppet hall disciples began to panic. The next second, layers of array patterns glowed on the magic boat, and streams of fiery beams rained down, targeting the rows of rocket artillery. Body worm focusing method. A dense shield of human-faced moth insect cloud formed, standing against the fiery beams plummeting from the magic boat. Every moment saw vast numbers of moths vaporized, and it wouldn't be long before Su Jie's supply of moths was exhausted. But the magic boat could afford this loss, with plenty of top-grade spirit stones to sustain it. Yet the time Su Jie fought for was enough. A 1,000-handed centipede took flight from the ground and collided head-on with the massive magic boat. The magic boat was hundreds of meters long, resembling a temple that spanned across the sky dome. Its divine light illuminated in all directions, making even the 1,000-hand centipede appear a size smaller in its presence. Boom! Amid the roaring boom, dozens of layers of defense formations rose from the magic boat, interlocking with each other to form a dazzling array of lights. The 1,000-hand centipede crashed into this layer of defensive light screen, merely causing the magic boat to tremble slightly, unaffected overall. Chris, the 1,000-hand centipede lowered its head and roared continuously at the magic boat. Numerous purple light rays burst forth, entering the defense screen, and instantly disappeared without a trace, failing to penetrate the defenses. Seeing this, Su Jie waved the 10,000 soul banner in his hand. The blood river reappeared, but the magic boat immediately descended a kilometer, erupting with endless array radiance. Massive spiritual power transformed into sky-reaching pillars of fire, falling into the surging blood river, causing it to boil and suppress Su Jie's 10,000 soul banner. Suddenly, Su Jie stomped his foot, and the space where he had been standing rippled slightly. A translucent flying sword whizzed past, silently splitting several nearby boulders in half. Above the magic boat, an elder from the Golden Sword Pavilion scoffed, and the translucent flying sword bent back, landing back into his palm. It was a flying sword only slightly longer than a palm, thin as a cicada's wing. It resembled more of a dagger than a flying sword. Almost as Su Jie retreated, a terrifying spirit pressure descended from above. The magic boat shone brightly, its high-condensed spirit pressure akin to adding layer upon layer of gravity to Su Jie, severely hindering his movements. This was the suppression of the spirit power of the magic boat, which manipulated and compressed the nearby spiritual power through the intricate and multiple formations on the magic boat, making the spirit power especially dense, turning air into water, naturally making it difficult to move about. Beyond offense, the magic boat could also assist in high-level combat and influence the battle situation. Almost as Su Jie was being suppressed, a sharp aura came from behind him. The righteous also resort to sneak attacks, using the majority to bully the few. Pale corpse hands sprouted from Su Jie's back, facing a black long knife that suddenly attacked. The wielder was a secret realm elder from the Purple Mist sect, who shouted, "There's no need to talk about martial code with you demon cultivators. Wanxiang Heavenly Power True Method." The blade ignited into fierce flames, slicing through many corpse hands, but even more hands enveloped it, multiple corpse hands coming together, eventually clamping down on the blade. Miao Method, Thousand Blade Slash. A crisp voice came from above, a middle-aged beautiful woman with the heavenly constitution in her mouth, an elder from the Miao Yin Temple. The air was sliced open, and streaks of blue air blades continuously struck down. Han Ruyan waved her hand broadly, and her red wedding dress billowed out, spread layer upon layer like a sky-enveloping sea of blood, obliterating thousands of blue air blades. Heavy footsteps followed, revealing a dragon and tiger sect elder, swollen to over 3 meters in height, half-naked. His body shining like gold as if forged from gold, charging at Su Jie, coordinating a pincer attack with the Purple Mist sect elder. "Darling, please turn around." Su Jie remained composed, and 2 rays of light, one white and one red, shot out, inflicting bone-deep wounds on this dragon and tiger sect elder, yet unable to truly kill him. The dragon and tiger sect specialized in body refining. Their physical resilience and strength were their foundation. Even top-grade magical artifacts couldn't kill him in one strike. "Devil die!" Accompanied by the surge of tides, a Guan Chao Pavilion elder clasped his hands emptily. Underground water veins were extracted, transforming into a 100-meter-long blue sword light that penetrated with terrifying sword chi, causing mountains and stones to shatter and the ground to split into vast ravines covering Su Jie, exploding into countless clouds of dust. And when the dust settled, a towering, 30-meter-tall ball of corpse hands stood in the deep pit. 5 secret realm elders. "Is this how you want to eliminate me?" The pale corpse hands writhed, forming Su Jie's face on a grand scale of tens of meters, emitting a thunderous rumble. Guan Chao Pavilion, Golden Sword Pavilion, Purple Mist Sect, Miao Yin Temple, and Dragon and Tiger Sect 5 sects. 5 secret realm elders surrounded Su Jie completely. Each of their strengths was above the secret realm 3rd level, among them the elder from Guan Chao Pavilion, even possessing secret realm 5th level cultivation, comparable to Taoist Chiu. "Devil, you have no future to speak of. Today you must be slain here." The voice of the Guan Chao Pavilion elder was like a tsunami, carrying overwhelming spirit power, causing ripples to spread along the sphere of corpse hands. He looked at Su Jie with undisguised murderous intent. Setting aside Su Jie's killing of Wei Ji, such an immortal seed continuing to grow was something the entire Qingzhou's righteous sect did not want to see. At such a young age, to have this level of combat power, who knows where Su Jie's growth could peak in the future. And with the rise of the demon path, their righteous path could end up in dire straits. "To kill me, you're not qualified yet." Su Jie's voice resonated. Countless pale corpse hands tightly gripped and interlocked, forming a skeleton. The human-faced moth filled the gaps, resembling muscles, while the primordial spirit constructed nerves. Eventually, the densely packed ball of corpse hands grew limbs and slowly stood up, forming a giant tens of meters tall, composed of innumerable corpse hands and poison insects. The corpse hand giant clenched his fist and smashed it down. Fist winds encompassed insect clouds, instantaneously altering the colors of the skies. The Guan Chao Pavilion elder also raised his fist. The river beneath his feet condensed into a long spear, colliding with the corpse hand giant. The shockwave swept over, causing the corpse hand giant to retreat numerous steps, while the Guan Chao Pavilion elder, as if struck by a high-speed train, was forced back 100 meters, leaving long ravines under his feet, his expression becoming exceedingly grave. "Everyone attack together. This devil is tough to handle. Have the magic boat exert full force to suppress him." The elder of Guan Chao Pavilion shouted long and loud, standing on the river waves beneath his feet that turned into a water dragon, tightly coiling around Su Jie. Above them, the magic boat was releasing spirit pressure, controlling the flow of Su Jie's spiritual power. The four secret realm elders glanced at each other and charged together towards Su Jie. Su Jie controlled the corpse hand giant, with his divine soul of the god unification realm resisting the spiritual pressure from the magic boat while simultaneously erupting with primitive wild beast power. He broke free from the water dragon binding his body, and a fierce smile filled his face as he menacingly strode towards the five secret realm elders. Damn it! Even covered by the magic boat's spirit pressure, he still has such formidable strength. All five secret realm elders were slightly pale, having witnessed Su Jie's recent fight with Wei Ji. They had thought that Wei Ji had forced Su Jie to reveal all his cards, but they had not expected Su Jie to still maintain such strong combat power up to now. Luckily, they had all acted together. If it had been one-on-one, even the elder from Guanchao Pavilion with his 5th-level cultivation wouldn't have been sure of victory. Come on, let's see how you do. Come entertain me. Su Jie bent his legs, and the massive corpse hand giant leapt hundreds of meters, crashing down like a small mountain. The five desperately dodged as the ground shook violently, creating 2 deep pits where Su Jie had landed. Then he twisted at the waist, settled himself, and swung a fist toward the elder of the dragon and tiger sect who was closest to him. Meanwhile, Han Ruyin temporarily held off the other 4 secret realm elders, using bizarre powers to buy time. Get lost! The elder of the dragon and tiger sect glared with furious eyes, his spiritual power gathering into his arms, which instantly grew bulkier, bursting with veins and muscles like rocks, struggling against Su Jie's corpse hand giant. Boom! 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 They exchanged punches over 100 times in an instant, each collision spreading shockwaves hundreds of meters, resembling missile explosions. Nearby, both disciples of the righteous and demon paths retreated in unison. Even the disciples of Su Jie's puppet hall scattered, hastily packing their rocket artillery into storage bags and fleeing to avoid being killed by the aftershocks. After 3 seconds of exchanging hundreds of punches, the elder of the dragon and tiger sect saw that his 4 companions had shaken off Han Ruyin and were coming over to support him, just as he was feeling a moment of relief. Suddenly, numerous pale corpse hands writhed at the waist of the giant controlled by Su Jie, unexpectedly sprouting 4 more massive arms, making a total of 6 arms that swung, creating layers of afterimages. The scene was utterly exaggerated. The dragon and tiger sect elder could never have anticipated this move. Like playing whack-a-mole, he was smashed into the ground by Su Jie, followed by even more fists pounding down, just like a pile-driving machine, making the earth shake continuously. When the other 4 elders arrived, they all stopped in their tracks, because one of the giant hands of the corpse hand giant was holding the dragon and tiger sect elder, whose body was now broken at every twist and turn, bleeding from every orifice, resembling a lump of mud held in the grasp of Su Jie. Hey, you were confident in your defense? It seems it was nothing much after all. Su Jie's laughter was maniacal as he clenched his fingers. Under the glaring eyes of the other 4 righteous elders, the dragon and tiger sect elder was crushed and ground up, with chunks of flesh oozing out between the fingers of the corpse hand giant, and blood dripping down the palm. First one. A cold smile played on Su Jie's face, causing the 4 elders to tremble slightly, an involuntary trace of fear rising within them before being overwhelmed by even more fury. Devil, how dare you still act violently at this time? The female elder from Miao Yin Temple glared, her beautiful eyes wide as she shouted, Miao Method, Divine Fire Tripod. A massive, ethereal cauldron materialized upside down over Su Jie's head, containing terrifying heavenly fire burning inside, distorting the air around it, intending to refine Su Jie completely. In that case, you'll be the next one I kill. Su Jie stared at her, his eyes filled with deadly aura, making it seem as though killing an elder was as easy as slaughtering dogs or chickens. Brag all you want. Die for me. The elder from the Golden Sword sect controlled a flying sword, burrowing into the corpse hand giant's body, seeking out where Su Jie's true body was. The elder of Guanchao Pavilion slapped out with waves that formed huge palms, and the elder from the Purple Mist sect held a long knife, approaching close, as if to split Su Jie in two. While their coordination might not be perfect, as Secret Realm elders with rich combat experience, they intended to quell Su Jie with even stronger attacks. The corpse hand giant did not dodge or evade, allowing the attacks to hit, with many pale corpse hands breaking and crumbling, almost half of its body vanishing. Curiously, a segment of the shattered pale corpse hand fell in front of the Miao Yin Temple elder, who noticed nothing. The next second, a light orb emerged on that segment of the pale corpse hand, rapidly condensing into the form of Su Jie. It was indeed Su Jie's primordial spirit inhabiting it. Zap! The arm of Su Jie's primordial spirit stabbed into the head of the Miao Yin Temple elder, his hand appearing phantom-like. Though her head showed no sign of injury, her entire graceful body began to tremble violently. Immediately after, a semi-transparent ethereal divine soul was pulled out of her head by Su Jie, and it was indeed the primordial spirit of the Miao Yin Temple elder. Su Jie's divine soul was at the god unification level, unlike the elder of Miao Yin Temple, whose divine soul was just an eye and ear shy of achieving the primordial spirit, leaving a gap between them akin to the difference between an adult and a child. So much so that when Su Jie reached out, he literally pulled the divine soul away from the flesh. Thought you could escape after I said I'd kill you? Su Jie's smile was cold, and with a grasp of his hand, the elder's divine soul began to crack inch by inch. How could your primordial spirit be so strong? No, don't. The elder of Miao Yin Temple's divine soul lost all its color as he begged Su Jie for mercy. But Su Jie ignored him completely, throwing his divine soul into the 10,000 soul banner to nourish it. On the other side, the remaining 3 elders looked on with darkened, fearful expressions, realizing they had been played by Su Jie. The corpse hand giant was but a trap. Su Jie's true body was no longer there, having left only his primordial spirit to ambush them. Where has the devil hidden his body? The elder of Guanchao Pavilion scoured the surroundings with the divine sense of his primordial spirit but found nothing, as if it had vanished into thin air. It wasn't until the divine sense covered the 1,000-hand centipede that they finally located the target. Looking for me? From the head of the 1,000-hand centipede, Su Jie's body rose cross-legged out from the flesh. Then the primordial spirit returned to the aperture, and his piercing eyes opened, his face carrying a mocking sneer. The elders from Golden Sword sect and Purple Mist sect turned pale, with thoughts of retreat rising in their hearts. This devil was not only powerful but also cunning, and continuing the fight might spell total annihilation for them. Heh! Thinking of running away? A glint of ferocity flashed in Su Jie's eyes, and a cruel smile appeared on his lips as he flew towards the 3 elders. Now, the roles of attacker and defender had been reversed. 100 kilometers away, in a temporary cave formed by underground magma, the sect master of Heavenly Soul Sect, Lu Jingshi, slowly deactivated the covert array of the cave, splitting open a thick layer of earth to reveal an exit leading to the surface. It's our turn to strike. Kill all those righteous sect scum. Lu Jingshi's eyes flickered with brutality as his body shot forth like a rock. Kill, kill, kill. My soul-summoning banner is already starving. Haha. The fear on the battlefield is most intense. My scarecrow ghost will surely seize this chance to advance to 4th grade. Behind him, over 10,000 Heavenly Soul Sect disciples surged out mightily, resembling a chimney spewing black smoke in the distance, spectacular from afar. Each of the Heavenly Soul Sect disciples carried a soul-summoning banner, manipulating Yin souls to slay the enemy. Or they would command fierce ghosts, summoning numerous formidable and eerie ghosts that joined the battle with overwhelming momentum. The higher-ups in the secret realm of Heavenly Soul Sect, over 1/3 of the elders held array plates inscribed with countless odd patterns. Once these array plates were activated, boundless black mist descended, darkening the clear sky with a ghostly atmosphere. This was one of the trump cards of the Heavenly Soul Sect, the Heavenly Soul Formation. This formation could summon souls and ghosts, usually set up in wildlands to attract wild wandering ghosts and fierce spirits. It required regular feedings of living people to the ghosts within to cultivate fear and elevate their grades. Deployed in battle, it became the 10,000 ghost array. Counts of half-wild fierce ghosts began to appear on the battlefield as soon as these heavenly soul formations were spread out. Some were diminutive in stature, with desiccated skin covered in corpse spots, hunched over resembling childlike figures of fierce ghosts. Yet one must not judge fierce ghosts by ordinary standards, for their seemingly frail and small bodies would sprout numerous corpse spots once any cultivator approached within 100 meters. Their bodies would keep contracting and twisting until they turned into a tiny doll toy. So much blood, so much fresh human blood. Some fierce ghosts were drenched in blood, skinless with naked red muscles exposed, would eerily appear behind any righteous cultivator and take a sucking breath. The blood of a once healthy cultivator would be drawn from every pore, leaving behind a desiccated corpse in a blink. The absorbed blood would cover the fierce ghost, forming a layer of blood skin with twisted, writhing blood vessels, the sound of flowing blood audible within hundreds of meters. Other ghost creatures were human soul trees, tens of meters tall, where cultivators impaled by branches were dragged into the trunk and consumed. The faces of devoured cultivators gradually became imprinted densely on the bark, chilling to the onlooker. Numerous fierce ghosts swarmed, ranging from the weakest first-grade fierce ghost to the appearance of 7th and 8th grade fierce ghosts. In a short time, the unprepared righteous disciples didn't stand a chance against the sudden attack from behind by the heavenly soul sect, leaving a landscape littered with corpses. Countless souls drifted into soul banners with their pre-death terror also absorbed by the fierce ghosts, nourishing their growth. The Ghost Ridge Palace disciples, who were originally fighting the righteous sect, surged with morale upon seeing this reinforcement from the heavenly soul sect, as if victory was within reach. Conversely, for the righteous sects, it was a scenario of grave dismay, except for a few high-level insiders. Lu Jingshi, the sect master of the heavenly soul sect, didn't join in the other battles but instead swiftly ascended to the skies tens of thousands of meters above. There, Zhang Junwei and Zhuang Liangru, two Taoist platform realm powerhouses, stood off against each other. According to the agreement, Lu Jingshi was there to help deal with Zhuang Liangru. With a 2-on-1 advantage, the opponent had no chance of victory. Managing to escape in a woeful state would be an achievement in itself. Zhuang Liangru, you didn't expect this, that we would unite together. Zhang Junwei's eyes shone brightly as he looked across at his greatest trump card, which had already secured his victory. Zhuang Liangru, your righteous sect is too aggressive. Only by uniting can we survive. Lu Jingshi blocked Zhuang Liangru's retreat, a light laugh escaping from his lips as he spoke. Just a bunch of devils banding together. I've long anticipated this move of yours. Zhuang Liangru's lips curled up in a smile, seemingly not surprised at all. Zhang Junwei and Lu Jingshi were both taken aback by Zhuang Liangru's expression, which gave rise to an ominous premonition. Monks of Lingfa Temple, it's time for you to take action. Zhang Junwei's voice boomed, spreading throughout the entire battlefield and radiating far and wide. What? Those baldies from Lingfa Temple? Lu Jingshi's face twisted in fury upon hearing this. His eyes filled with disbelief and panic. The clouds at the edge of the sky dispersed, and dozens of kilometers away, a mountain peak trembled. Countless boulders and clumps of earth rolled down, revealing dark cave openings. Accompanied by the dignified chanting of Buddhist scriptures, a golden light burst forth from within. As the golden light spread, one by one, monks dressed in robes, their heads shaven and shiny, appeared and hastened to the battlefield. They were clearly headed straight for the heavenly soul sect. Raising ghosts and refining souls offends the harmony of heaven. Amitabha, today, I shall send you on your way to the western paradise. A monk struck his wooden fish, his face usually kind and benevolent but now showing a grave determination, possessing the cultivation level of the secret realm. He ventured alone into the midst of a heavenly soul formation. The black mist that he encountered, when touched by the treasure light emitted from his body, reacted like snow upon a red-hot iron, hissing white smoke and being steadily dispersed. Chomp, chomp, chomp. A fierce ghost with a body round and plump like a ball and dragging a spiked mace approached the monk. Just as it was ready to strike, the moment it entered the range of the Buddhist treasure light, the previously ferocious expression on the ghost's face gradually turned serene. Its eyes cleared, and its body stiffened, unable to move. Nearby, a dozen or so fierce ghosts all reacted in the same way. No matter the abilities of these ghosts, as they neared his surroundings, their movements became sluggish, and the strange powers within them were blocked by the Buddha's blessing, unable to affect him. Harbor good intentions, and move on to rebirth. The monks struck the wooden fish, and with the chanting of sutras, a vision of a Buddha with a majestic aura appeared. The nearby fierce ghosts began to tremble uncontrollably, as the resentment, yin-chi, and malevolence within them emerged as streams of black smoke from their orifices. Thud, thud, thud. One by one, the fierce ghosts fell to the ground, motionless. The monk quickly cast out strips of Buddhist scripture, sealing each of the ghosts. Crack! Suddenly, the monk's shoulder shattered, and a seventh-grade fierce ghost, expressionless, was holding an arm in its mouth, the monk's arm, chewing it methodically. Behind this seventh-grade fierce ghost, an elder from the Heavenly Soul sect with fifth-level cultivation of the secret realm looked on with a venomous gaze. Clearly, more powerful fierce ghosts were not entirely impeded by the Buddhist treasure light. The two exchanged a look and without any further words, commenced battle immediately. More monks appeared on the battlefield, wielding wooden fish, prayer beads, pure bottles, and golden bowls as magic artifacts to join the fight against the Heavenly Soul sect. This is the world of the living, and dead souls should head towards the joy of rebirth and cease to disturb the affairs of the living world. Amitabha. Monks with incense burners in hand, the censer ash inside, having been nurtured by the scent of incense over many years, once scattered, caused the myriad souls to struggle in agony, their bodies disappearing into the air amidst the illusion. Seeing that you are fated to cross paths with me, become a flute-playing novice before Buddha, said another. Monks with prayer beads wrapped around their hands, eyes closed in meditation, silently recited Buddhist scriptures. On the forehead of a fierce ghost, the swastika symbol appeared, converted by the monk. Suddenly, it changed direction, astonishingly turning to attack the disciples of the Heavenly Soul sect instead. The cultivation techniques practiced by these monks seemed to be particularly effective against the Heavenly Soul sect. Many fierce ghosts were suppressed and sealed by them, their souls liberated and dispersed. Only the comparatively strong fierce ghosts, or those that formed the 10,000 soul banner formation, could effectively combat them. An unexpected reversal on the battlefield left countless people dumbfounded. The righteous sects, initially caught in a pincer attack, suddenly gained the aid of a large group of monks from Lingfa Temple, tipping the scales of battle in their favor once again. Above the sky dome, a monk with a head of white hair and eyebrows so long they drooped down the sides of his face, wearing a radiant Buddhist robe with golden thread and embroidery, holding a demon-subduing pestle in one hand and a Fulong golden bowl in the other, appeared before Zhang Junwei, Zhuang Liangru, and Lu Jingshi with an extraordinary demeanor. Seeing this person, Lu Jingshi's face showed an incredibly vivid expression of shock and anger. Guiyanan, we have fled to Qingzhou, yet your haunting pursuit from Lingfa Temple never ceases. Are you determined to eradicate us completely? The man before him, Lu Jingshi, knew all too well. He was the head of the precepts hall of Lingfa Temple, named Guiyanan, a monk whose cultivation had reached the Taoist platform realm. Both his cultivation and his understanding of Buddhist teachings were terrifyingly formidable. Lingfa Temple was the strongest sect in Jingzhou. They might have appeared devout and detached from worldly affairs, yet the reality was completely otherwise. The downfall of the Heavenly Soul sect, the destruction of their mountain gate, and their panic-stricken flight were the direct result of Lingfa Temple's collusion with several sects. It was for this reason that Lu Jingshi reacted so strongly to the appearance of Lingfa Temple. Amitabha. This time, I am here at the invitation of Master Zhuang to subdue devils and expel demons. You have fled Jingzhou without reflecting on past lessons or attempting reform. Instead, you have continued to wreak havoc upon the world, slaughtering the common folk, even colluding with Qingzhou's largest demon sect, Ghost Ridge Palace. Guiyenin said with his hands clasped together, his face showing neither joy nor sorrow. His calm expression belied the ruthless words he spoke. He was intent on annihilating the Heavenly Soul sect and destroying their lineage completely. Since receiving the message from Guanchao Pavilion, Lingfa Temple had immediately decided to divert resources and head to Qingzhou. Lingfa Temple and the Heavenly Soul sect were archenemies. One raised ghosts and the other helped ghosts to transcend. The two sects were like fire and water, incompatible with one another. In the past, when the demon path was powerful, Lingfa Temple had frequently been raided by the Heavenly Soul sect, their demon cultivators particularly fond of using their monks for nurturing ghosts and refining corpses. Later, when the righteous path gained strength and fortunes reversed, Lingfa Temple would, whenever possible, make trouble for the Heavenly Soul sect, sending their disciples to meet Buddha. Until the decisive battle that set the order, in alliance with other Jingzhou sects, they eradicated this scourge. Yet some still escaped through the net. Now that they had located the Heavenly Soul sect, the entire Lingfa Temple brimmed with excitement, eager to purge the sect utterly and prevent them from making a comeback. Should they revive, they might seek revenge on Lingfa Temple. Others might not understand, but their sworn enemy was all too aware of the Heavenly Soul sect's growth rate. Given the right conditions and fierce ghosts, they could quickly make a resurgence. It's known that, apart from everything else, the speed of cultivation growth and the development of the new generation among demon cultivators is impressive. Threaten us? Our Heavenly Soul sect is not something you can simply extinguish. Lu Jingshi roared in anger, his body emanating a menacing black aura. However, upon reaching Guiyenin, it all dissipated like a gentle breeze against the face, this suppression causing Lu Jingshi's expression to darken even further. One Lingfa Temple is not enough, but add to that our Guanchao Pavilion and all 5 sects should be more than sufficient, Zhuang Liangru said cheerfully, with a smile bright as spring sunshine on his face. Everything was going according to his plan. To counter the Heavenly Soul sect, a demon sect, he had sought the help of Lingfa Temple, who were their exact nemesis. When did you discover our alliance? Asked Zhang Junwei in confusion and frustration. There had to have been a leak on their side. Otherwise, how could their enemy have arranged for reinforcements? Of course it was. Zhuang Liangru was about to say the names Wei Ji, but abruptly remembered that Wei Ji had fallen at the hands of Su Jie. His sentence came to an abrupt halt. No need for words from the dead. Today, we will send you, the Heavenly Soul sect, and Ghost Ridge Palace to your demise together. Zhuang Liangru scoffed, moving forward alongside Guiyenin. Boom! 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 The clouds in the sky roiled and tore apart as 4 beings of the Taoist platform realm clashed, fighting to the death 10,000 meters above the ground. Crack! Su Jie's palm pierced through the chest, grasping a blood-red, beating heart, while his face maintained an indifferent expression. The one whose heart was gouged out was an elder of the Purple Mist sect with secret realm 4th level cultivation. The 5 elders who had surrounded Su Jie had successively fallen, for to Su Jie's hand, only one left. His gaze shifted to the Guanchao Pavilion elder in front of him, a powerful figure at the secret realm 5th level, now covered with wounds both large and small, visibly at a disadvantage in the fight against Su Jie. Su Jie was also heavily injured, his body marked with wounds of varying sizes. Even with his self-healing ability, it required consuming spiritual power. Su Jie's spiritual power had been vastly depleted in successive battles and couldn't replenish fast enough. Thus some wounds couldn't heal. Overall, though, Su Jie was faring far better than his adversary, who was now frantically attempting to flee. The Guanchao Pavilion elder, overwhelmed by fear after Su Jie had slain 4 men, had completely lost any will to confront Su Jie, chilled to the bone and knowing only to run, until Han Ruyan blocked his path. A red wedding dress billowed out as Han Ruyan twisted her neck without expression. As she moved, The Guanchao Pavilion elder's neck also twisted with a crackling noise, contorting 360 degrees. Damn it! The Guanchao Pavilion elder screamed. He felt the urge to resist. Had he been at his peak, he naturally would not have feared Han Ruyan. But now, his spiritual power was nearly depleted, and with severe injuries, he simply couldn't counteract Han Ruyan's eerie power anymore. Just as Han Ruyan was about to strangle him, a solemn and dignified voice resonated through the void. Amitabha, Mr. Su, as you drive out spirits and murder, this monk cannot stand aside. Along with the voice came a blinding golden Buddhist light. The Guanchao Pavilion elder who was about to be killed narrowly escaped death. Encased in the golden light, the eerie power Han Ruyan had inflicted was dispelled, allowing him to finally control his own body. A middle-aged monk in robes, sporting a shaven head speckled with scars and holding a golden ruler, walked slowly towards them, surrounded by a halo of Buddhist light and the automatic chanting of scriptures, appearing like a Buddha walking the earth, exuding a sacred aura. Bald donkey, are you courting death? Su Jie glared coldly, riding the thousand-handed centipede to confront the adversary. This monk's dharma name is Huiji. Lay down your butcher knife, Mr. Su. You are young, and it's not too late to turn from evil to good. You cannot win this war. Monk Huiji joined his hands, each word emanating from his mouth accompanied by Buddhist tones, resembling a compassionate bodhisattva, inexplicably evoking goodwill in others. Of course, Su Jie was not among them. You speak as though you have certainly won the battle. Su Jie called Han Ruyan closer to him. This monk Huiji also possessed Secret Realm 5th level cultivation, and from what he saw of the combat style, it strongly countered beings like Han Ruyan, the ghost. Although Su Jie had great confidence in Han Ruyan, caution was paramount. Monk Huiji gave a slight smile, saying, Amitabha, Mr. Su, why not look at the current battlefield? There is only defeat ahead for you. Su Jie squinted his eyes. With the entrance of the Lingfa Temple monks into the battlefield, their restraint and strikes against the Heavenly Soul Sect were severely decisive, forcing the Heavenly Soul Sect's reinforcements to retreat continuously. On the Ghost Ridge Palace side, they also had to face the combined forces of the 5 righteous sects. Especially after the rocket artillery positions had been disrupted and bombing halted, they were increasingly being pressed hard by the enemy, the front line barely holding. These were just the ordinary disciples. At the high-end level, the Hidden Realm Elders, leveraging their numerical advantage, were also pressing down on the elders from Ghost Ridge Palace and Heavenly Soul Sect, suffering much higher casualty rates than the Righteous Path. Individuals like Su Jie, capable of fighting multiple opponents, were few indeed. In the highest tiers of confrontation, for individuals at the Taoist platform realm were unable to determine a victor in the short term. No wonder Monk Huiji was so confident, believing that the demon path was destined for defeat. Mr. Su, as an immortal seed who has fallen into the demon path, if you can turn back, it isn't too late. My Lingfa Temple is willing to accept you, allow you to convert from evil to good, lest your talents go to waste. Monk Huiji, with a compassionate smile, was actually trying to recruit Su Jie. You want to recruit me? Su Jie immediately discerned Monk Huiji's intention. An incredibly talented immortal seed, even Lingfa Temple was willing to accept this devil. I've heard your Buddhist sects are quite adept at brainwashing. Planning to modify my will to serve as your ox or horse? Su Jie's thoughts whirled instantly. The idea of surrender lingered in his mind for less than 3 seconds before dismissing it. Because Su Jie distrusted the monk, he was well aware of the many shameful deeds he had committed that had disgraced the righteous path. The other side would surely have investigated those deeds and still sought to recruit him, taking the risk of offending Guanchao Pavilion and the other righteous sects. Considering such significant risks, Su Jie did not believe in unconditional love in this world. Surely the monk had ulterior motives. Su Jie would not easily be swayed by his words. Mr. Su has too many prejudices against our Buddhist sect. A flicker of anger crossed Monk Huiji's eyes, his smile fading gradually, unable to bear Su Jie's denigration of his sacred order. What? Did I hit a nerve? And now you're mad? Su Jie, now less hurried, told Han Rian and the thousand-handed centipede. Don't worry about me. Go protect the rocket artillery positions. Get the puppet hall operating again. Support the battlefield. Even if we lose the war, we need to decimate their younger generation. Let them understand the consequences of offending our Ghost Ridge Palace. Obstinate and unenlightened, Huiji's face changed immediately, for they had just witnessed the power of the rocket artillery firing in unison. Such war puppets may not be much for experts, but they are exceptionally deadly against the defenseless. Those outer disciples, if bombarded indiscriminately, countless would perish. Heh! Since you dare to meddle in sect warfare, then you must be prepared to face death. It seems you've been deeply corrupted by the ideology of the demon path beyond salvation. Fine, today I will personally eliminate you to prevent future calamities upon the common folk. With a slap of his golden ruler, Huiji Monk released a burst of golden brilliance, which exploded with a pneumatic force. Indeed, it was a low-grade magical treasure. Pale arms writhed out from Su Jie's body, swiftly ensconcing him within their secure embrace. The golden light clashed with the corpse hands, annihilating one another, while Su Jie's indifferent voice echoed through. Bald donkey, do you really think you can defeat me? Even if my spiritual power is greatly depleted now, I'm still beyond your reach. The sky turned ominously overcast, as howling winds ushered in a downpour, with lightning flickering amidst the clouds. Su Jie extensively summoned the power of his primordial spirit. The primordial spirit didn't require the involvement of his internal spiritual power, ensuring that Su Jie still possessed ample combat strength. Is this heavenly might? Huiji Monk sensed the thickness of the dark clouds above, and a trace of shock flickered through his eyes. A god unification-level primordial spirit, reaching such heights with his current third-level cultivation of the secret realm. This man is truly exceptional even among the numerous immortal seeds. No wonder the head ordered me to recruit him. Before Huiji had time to think further, the consolidating clouds shrouded the surrounding miles. Crack! Boom! A flash of white light and a thunderbolt, thick as a barrel, descended, winding its way down to strike the golden radiance surrounding Huiji Monk. His golden light barely rippled, like a lake into which a pebble had been tossed. A single thunderbolt was not enough to harm him. Let's see how many you can withstand. With a grand wave of his hand, Su Jie unleashed not one, but thousands upon thousands of thunderbolts. Following a brief accumulation, countless thunderbolts fell from the clouds, bombarding Huiji Monk incessantly, turning him into a lightning rod amidst the storm. The layer of golden light radiating from Huiji Monk began to undulate violently. The purple cloud heavenly thunder was naturally formidable, and with the supplemental authority of the god unification domain, its might was even more tyrannical. It's a blunder. I've underestimated him. Huiji sought to escape, but his speed was nowhere near the rapid descent of the purple cloud heavenly thunder, and the dense clouds above trailed his movement. From afar, the thunderbolts nearly formed a continuous line, resembling a brilliant pillar of light between heaven and earth. Who is undergoing heavenly tribulation? Some junior disciples, unclear about the battle, only saw a figure illuminated by the lightning and thought of the legends of transmutation. It's Master Huiji. He's in trouble. That devil from Ghost Ridge Palace is ferocious. Some monks from Lingfa Temple also noticed something was amiss, recognizing that their Master Huiji was being struck by lightning. Buddha's light shines upon all. Taking a deep breath, a halo emerged atop Huiji's head, followed by a burst of golden light, turning him into a miniature sun, with infinite Buddhist treasure light spreading out. It even briefly delayed the heavenly might consolidated by Su Jie's primordial spirit by 2 seconds. Seizing the opportunity, Huiji hurriedly escaped the range of the heavy clouds of heavenly might. At this moment, Huiji appeared somewhat disheveled. His skin was scorched, his monk robe tattered, looking as though he had just emerged from a coal mine. Had he not been bald, his hair would resemble that of a porcupine. Indeed, a devil remains a devil. Since reason fails to prevail, I will use my fists to teach you what is known as the true essence of Buddhism. Huiji shook his body, and the charred, cracking layer of grime on his skin flaked off inch by inch, spontaneously forming a new golden monk robe as his piercing gaze sought out Su Jie again. However, when he laid eyes on Su Jie once more, his pupils involuntarily narrowed. For Su Jie was clutching the neck of the Guanchao Pavilion elder, whose head dangled loosely, evidently having had his neck broken by Su Jie. In the brief moment that Huiji was trapped, Su Jie caught up to the still near Guanchao Pavilion elder and successfully killed him. The elder of Guanchao Pavilion's primordial spirit drilled out from his skull, but as soon as it appeared, it was absorbed by Su Jie's 10,000 soul banner, further strengthening the banner. By now, the divine souls that Su Jie's 10,000 soul banner had absorbed in this war already amounted to 6 from the secret realm, including the divine soul of immortal seed Wei Ji. Many souls from other battlefields were also sucked in by the 10,000 soul banner, with many disciples' souls being drawn towards the center where Su Jie was. Before the heavenly soul sect had appeared, no one competed with Su Jie for these souls, and the usual soul-summoning banners didn't have the strength or range to absorb souls like Su Jie's 10,000 soul banner. Looking again at Su Jie's 10,000 soul banner, it had become much stronger than before, with the consumed Yin souls being replenished by absorbing more souls, and the number of ghost generals bred inside surging to over 100. This little devil is so brutal and vicious. We cannot let you go unchecked. Huiji's face turned dark, feeling his intelligence insulted. He now wished he could send Su Jie to meet the Buddha with a slap. In such a rush? Why don't you watch a bit longer? Su Jie sneered disdainfully and put the corpse of the Guanchao Pavilion elder into his storage bag. Almost as soon as Su Jie's words fell, a series of thunderous roars suddenly came from the distance. On the battlefield, countless trails of fire rose from the ground, sounding like a howling gale, a massive meteoric firestorm covering the sky and reddening half the heavens. That was the barrage of rocket artillery. The reorganized puppet hall once more brought out rocket launchers from their storage bags, setting up launch sites to strike at the righteous sect. 16,000 rocket shells fell, and even though a portion was intercepted early, nearly 10,000 rockets successfully bombarded the target area. The target area was the very position of Lingfa Temple. A single rocket could cause destruction over an area the size of a soccer field, and the acid, fiery poison, poisonous insects, and other loaded ammunitions resulted in widespread casualties. Countless disciples of Lingfa Temple lay on the ground wailing and rolling in pain, with even more turned into cold corpses under the carpet bombing of the rockets, many without even a complete body left. These Lingfa Temple disciples, to their death, were full of unwillingness, sent by the rockets to meet their Buddha and ascend to the paradise of the Western Heaven. Seeing this scene, a barrage of rockets causing the death of thousands of his young monks, Huiji's eyes immediately reddened, and he charged towards Su Jie without regard for his own safety, yelling, "Devil, I'll send you to hell. Hit Lingfa Temple with 2 more rounds. Then target this one coming to assist," Su Jie said with a cold laugh, continuously taunting the opposition as the purple cloud heavenly thunder bombarded wave after wave, contending fiercely. And under Su Jie's command, Puppet Hall quickly reloaded the rocket artillery, with each rocket weighing 300 kilograms being launched into the sky, hitting the areas of Lingfa Temple and several other righteous sects. These rockets specifically targeted outer disciples, pushing the effectiveness of their bullying feature to the limit. Each wave of over 10,000 rockets caused the deaths of thousands of disciples, and the numbers of those wounded and losing combat capability were even greater. Such fearsome casualties enraged all of the righteous sects. Whether it was Lingfa Temple or several other sects like Guanchao Pavilion, they dispatched inner disciples and secret realm elders, intending to destroy the rocket launcher positions. The thousand-handed centipede and Han Ruyan protected the rocket launcher positions. Later, Su Jie even threw over his 10,000 soul banner and raised the Blood River Formation for full protection. But as more and more righteous elders arrived to attack, 1 centipede, 1 ghost, and 1 banner couldn't hold out. Fortunately, Ghost Ridge Palace saw the situation and decisively called in reinforcements to protect the rocket launcher site. "Keep it safe. We can't let anything happen to it," Taoist Qiu shouted loudly, his left hand transforming into a huge sky-reaching python that flung an Elder of the Dragon and Tiger sect away. As long as the rocket launcher site is operational, killing enemy low-level cultivators en masse, we might force the enemy to retreat. Tang Peiqing also arrived at the rocket launcher site. The battle situation was very disadvantageous for the Ghost Ridge Palace, and now he was not thinking about victory but merely hoping to repel the opposition. With more and more elders contesting the area, the rocket launchers, which could only bully the weak, ironically became the focal point of the battlefield. Meanwhile, for powerful cultivators of the Taoist platform realm, soaring tens of thousands of meters high, Zhuang Liangru sensed the changing tides of battle. If too many disciples were lost, he wouldn't be able to justify it when he returned. Zhuang Liangru gritted his teeth and took out a jade token from his chest, activating his last resort. 100 rivers covering sea array, activate. The sky trembled slightly, and an immense crack appeared high above, as an aura of terror permeated the air. The torn sky dome meandered and twisted, black fissures spreading to the horizon, violent tremors resonating throughout every corner of the battlefield. Combatants on both righteous and evil sides couldn't help but look up, just to hear the thunderous sound of the sky tearing apart, as a colossal crack appeared in the sky, with countless bolts of lightning dancing wildly within it. From within the crack, a heart-palpitating aura drifted out. Through the rift, one could faintly make out streams and strands of primordial chaos, twinkling with variegated radiant light. This was the real Tao River. It was just not truly open, otherwise dare to gaze directly at the Tao River, who knew how many cultivators' eyeballs and heads would explode. Layer upon layer of blue runes appeared densely around the fissure, eventually constructing an array map vast like a star-studded sky, covering the sky dome. 100 rivers covering sea array. To die beneath a Tao formation is your honor. Zhuang Liangru, looking at the activated 100 rivers covering sea array, a trace of pain flickered in his eyes. If it weren't for preserving the survival rate of righteous disciples and unwillingness to bear heavy casualties, he would not have wanted to activate the 100 rivers covering sea array, because the cost of activating such a Tao formation was excessively high. Even Guanchao Pavilion, as Qingzhou's #1 sect, felt immense heartache, especially since the 100 rivers covering sea array had been damaged before, and repairing it had already cost Guanchao Pavilion a large portion of their foundation. But the turn of events forced Zhuang Liangru to play this final card unless he wanted a Pyrrhic victory, by which even if they won, there was no telling how many disciples and elders would perish. To think you could rebuild the 100 rivers covering sea array in such a short time after it was damaged. Zhang Junwei's face was ashen, watching the slowly forming 100 rivers covering sea array above the sky dome. Feeling the unique aura of a Tao-level array, he was completely stiff. How would the demon path, which is like a frog in a well, understand the foundation of our Guanchao Pavilion? Just because you can't construct a Tao formation doesn't mean we can't. Although Zhuang Liangru's heart ached, because the activation of a Taoist skill array was valued in billions, he maintained a carefree demeanor in front of Zhang Junwei, as if money was like dung to him. One could say that even if Ghost Ridge Palace were annihilated, the gains would not be enough to offset the consumption of the Tao formation, and this sect war would be a huge loss. But now, Guanchao Pavilion was also stuck in a dilemma. To uphold their reputation as Qingzhou's #1 sect, they had no choice but to increase their investment. Amitabha, good deeds bring good returns, and evil deeds bring evil consequences. Ghost Ridge Palace and Heavenly Soul Sect have harmed the common people and brought disorder to the world. They deserve this calamity. Guan Yenin from Lingfa Temple clasped his hands together, already beginning to pray the Sutra of Salvation, ready to deliver those demon path dead souls filled with malevolent energy. To possess such a hidden card. With a trace of despair in his eyes, Lu Jingshi, sect leader of Heavenly Soul Sect, knew the battle was decisively set once the 100 rivers covering sea array, a Tao-level array, was successfully activated. Now to send the little devils down below on their way. Zhuang Liangru, seeing that the 100 rivers covering sea array was fully formed, waved his hand grandly. Boom! In an instant, heaven and earth overturned, and from the fissure, the 100 rivers covering sea array unleashed its attack technique. Meanwhile, as Su Jie was entangled with Huiji Monk in battle, he sensed the changes occurring above the sky dome, especially the aura of the 100 rivers covering sea array. Su Jie was no stranger to it, and a smile instantly crept onto his face. Ha ha, ha ha ha, ha 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 ha. Finally, I've been waiting for you, finally, you've come. Su Jie, with one hand on his forehead, laughed maniacally toward the heavens, causing the Huiji monk opposite him to be utterly confused, clueless about what was getting into Su Jie. Have you been driven mad by the desperate Taoist formation? If only you knew what today would bring, why did you do it in the past? But fortunately, the heavens are merciful. Saving one life supersedes creating a 7-level pagoda. Now I give you another chance, surrender and be captured, and maybe you'll have a chance to live. However, it quickly dawned on Huiji monk that it was likely Su Jie had seen their inevitable defeat and was now going mad under the immense pressure. Su Jie's smile remained undiminished, staring at Huiji monk with eyes filled with 3 parts scorn and 7 parts mockery. How ridiculous! You still want me to surrender at this point? Ha ha! It's you who are unable to save yourselves. What are you talking about? Seems you truly have gone mad. Do you not know what kind of power a Tao formation represents? Huiji monk laughed with rage. He pointed to the cracking array in the sky dome, where waves of blue halos Taoist aura were already seeping out, and said coldly, Since you are so obstinately misguided, then along with your Ghost Ridge Palace, sink in the boundless waves as well. It will give me a good opportunity to witness Guanchao Pavilion's divine might. In the heavens, the drifting blue runes gradually dissipated, and from the vast crack above, the sound of surging waves echoed. In the sight of tens of thousands of righteous and evil cultivators, the rift cracked with a sound as if it had completely shattered. Streams of tumultuous blue tides descended from the sky, resembling waterfalls falling from the 9th heaven, or like an inverted blue sky. Countless wide torrents, hundreds of meters across, meandered across the sky dome, like a cerulean tsunami covering hundreds of square kilometers overhead, billions of tons of sea water flowing in it. And every cultivator who saw this contracted their pupils. Their bodies violently shook, instinctively feeling an inner terror in the face of such a natural disaster. But the most terrified were Ghost Ridge Palace and Heavenly Soul Sect of the Demon Path, because everyone understood for whom the Sky Dome Sea was intended. Wipe out all these demon cultivators. Neither Ghost Ridge Palace nor Heavenly Soul Sect should be spared. Kill, kill, kill. Let the formation obliterate any devil in revenge for our fallen brothers and sisters. Today will mark the doom of your demon path, and Qingzhou will be completely under our righteous sect's control. Ha ha! Our Guanchao Pavilion is invincible. This formation is set up by our sect. Surely we will get the most spoils of war afterward. After a brief silence, the disciples of the righteous side went crazy, screaming in excitement, seeing the hope of victory in the war, annihilating Ghost Ridge Palace. From the sky, hundreds of blue torrents formed by the 100 rivers covering sea array slowly descended, speeding up, their vast scope and quantity sufficient to cover any region of the battlefield. And these blue torrents were actually chaotic airflows transformed within the Tao River. In it, time, space, and energy are devoid of orderly rules. The 100 rivers covering sea array needed only a slight leverage of the Tao River's power to create such an awe-inspiring great Taoist formation. Su Jie's hands moved through the spell motions, his primordial spirit bursting forth dazzling divine light, making contact with the Grand Tao. Amitabha, it's useless, an individual's power is trivial in front of the great Taoist formation. How much of the Tao's power can you really borrow? Seeing this, Huiji monk thought Su Jie was acting out of desperation, attempting to communicate with the heavenly Tao for one last stand, and swiftly moved back while he spoke. He didn't need to contend with Su Jie, for in Huiji's view, the 100 rivers covering sea array would teach Su Jie a lesson. Well said. Then let's have you experience the horror of the great Taoist formation yourself. Su Jie smirked, and under the bewildered gaze of Huiji, successfully connected his primordial spirit to the Tao River. On the array map operating within the Tao River, Tentacles strangely surrounded and enveloped the enormous diagram, as if prey strangled and constricted by a python. These tentacles were actually the traps that Su Jie had planted beneath the 100 rivers covering sea array. Before leaving Raoyang Lake, Su Jie didn't destroy the array, all for today's opportunity. These tentacles, also the product of Su Jie's primordial spirit after detachment, still retained a part of Su Jie's will. They were like a dormant virus program, now fully activated by Su Jie's command. Enjoy it! Su Jie's smile was cruel and manic as the virus began to spread throughout the entire 100 rivers covering sea array, the huge primordial spirit tentacles affixing to the array plate, twisting it into the shape Su Jie desired. Boom! Streams of the Sky Dome River roared down towards the ground. The cheers from the disciples of the righteous sects grew even louder. On the side of Ghost Ridge Palace and Heavenly Soul Sect, despair prevailed, and disciples had already started fleeing in all directions. To the disciples, this wasn't something humans could resist. It was a heavenly force from the might of the heavenly Tao, before which even those from Secret Realm and Taoist Platform Realm seemed insignificant. The first stream of the Tao River surged forth. An inner disciple from Guan Chao Pavilion watched, suddenly feeling something off, as if, perhaps, it seemed like the Sky Dome River was heading towards himself. Something's not right. Not right. Why is it coming for me? The disciple from Guan Chao Pavilion gulped, instinctively turning and shuffling his feet. But what frightened him more was that as he moved, the Sky Dome River changed accordingly, chasing down and engulfing him.
No.
No, no! The disciple from Guan Chao Pavilion shouted, but before he could finish his sentence, he was swept into the Sky Dome River, without a microsecond's struggle, instantly shattered by the force of the water. As this stream of the Sky Dome River fell, hundreds of other nearby righteous disciples and a Secret Realm elder, who couldn't dodge in time, suffered the same fate. They were unaware, not believing that the Sky Dome River could harm them, and thus were unhesitatingly swallowed into the stream. One after another, the disciples' bodies were torn apart. A female cultivator from the Miao Yin Temple, also a Secret Realm elder, tried struggling, but the Sky Dome River carried the essence of the heavenly Tao. A single drop of its water weighed 1,000 pounds, striking down at such a high speed. Within just 3 seconds, the struggling Secret Realm elder was dragged into a vortex by the roaring Sky Dome River. Her body sliced and twisted into tiny shreds, disintegrated into 10,000 pieces, dead beyond dead. The magic artifacts and talismans he carried were utterly useless in the Sky Dome River, instantly shattering into dust. This was the might of the great Taoist formation, killing Yunling Realm disciples as effortlessly as stepping on ants, and exterminating someone from the Secret Realm was no more difficult than slaughtering a chicken. On the battlefield, the excited expressions of the righteous cultivators froze, their eyes wide and mouths agape as they watched the Sky Dome River, which was supposed to be on their side, attack them, feeling as if their brains were burning up. Why would the 100 rivers covering sea array, which could only be controlled by Zhuang Liangru, turn against them? Could it be that Zhuang Liangru was a traitor? What's happening? What's happening? Why is the 100 rivers covering sea array attacking us? It's a mistake. I'm one of you. I am a disciple of the Guan Chao Pavilion. Run, run. Don't get swept into the river. You'll lose your life. Amidst their utter bewilderment, the righteous disciples faced a doomsday-like assault from the formation. Lines of blue Sky Dome rivers poured down, each tens of meters wide and stretching for dozens to hundreds of kilometers, like world-devouring giant pythons, swallowing any enemy that got caught in their path. It wasn't just the Yunling Realm disciples who sprinted for their lives. Even the Secret Realm elders were frantically fleeing to save themselves. In front of such a Taoist-level array, death for a Secret Realm elder was but a moment's work. Getting caught meant there was no chance of survival. Let alone the physical body, even magical treasures and primordial souls would be utterly obliterated, leaving not even a remnant, a true annihilation of both form and spirit. On the contrary, on the side of the demon path, each demon cultivator was dumbfounded. They had thought they were facing an imminent disaster, but instead, it turned out to be the righteous facing calamity. seeing countless righteous disciples and elders being devoured. Their mouths hung open for a long time, feeling as if the world had suddenly turned unfamiliar, even wondering if this was a hallucination before dying. Am I seeing things? Taoist Chiu was at a loss for words. Even his usually cold and sinister eyes were bulging like copper bells, a sign of his inner shock. I think I know who it is, Taoist Chiu. You really raised an extraordinary disciple. Our Ghost Ridge Palace is saved. Saved indeed. Elsewhere, Tang Peiqing could not help but burst into loud laughter, vigorously patting Taoist Chiu on the shoulder. His laughter bringing tears, his emotions indescribable. Taoist Chiu was also slightly taken aback, while also turning to look in Su Jie's direction, seemingly coming to the same realization. It's Su Jie. My disciple did a great job. I knew it. I knew the mission wasn't a failure, but that he was playing a long game. Taoist Chiu also started to tremble with excitement, his smile full of pride and arrogance. Watching the turning tide of battle, his calm heart couldn't help but surge with emotion. Tens of thousands of meters above the sky dome, similarly witnessing this scene, were 4 experts from the Taoist platform realm. Their expressions were extraordinarily vivid, especially Zhuang Liangru, who stood utterly still, staring blankly at the 100 rivers covering sea array wreaking havoc on the righteous formation below, feeling his brain stimulated to the point of exploding. How can this be? My 100 rivers covering sea array? No, who tampered with my 100 rivers covering sea array? Who is setting this trap? His muttered self-talk turned into a thunderous roar, his emotions resembling a roller coaster ride. As excited as he had been earlier, now he was equally furious. Ha ha ha, fool. Did you think we from Ghost Ridge Palace would just watch the 100 rivers covering sea array being formed? Everything is within my expectations. Zhang Junwei over here, his smile almost splitting to his ears, immediately realized that the reasons for such changes in the 100 rivers covering sea array must undoubtedly be because of Su Jie. Because only Su Jie had undertaken the mission to sabotage the 100 rivers covering sea array, a mission that he had personally assigned. He had thought that Su Jie had failed, but unexpectedly, Su Jie had subtly laid such a massive trap for the righteous, far beyond his imagination. Although he did not know how Su Jie had managed it, he was certain it had everything to do with Su Jie. Zhuang Liangru's face twitched, and the anger and urgency in his heart made him tremble all over, but fortunately, he still retained his rationality. He held the array order in his hand, wanting to immediately stop the 100 rivers covering sea array. This great Taoist formation, which was originally intended to be a decisive victory, had now become a super weapon destroying the righteous sect's frontline, and Zhuang Liangru only wanted to stop it immediately. However, to Zhuang Liangru's despair, he could no longer fully control the formation, only being able to barely manipulate a part of the Sky Dome River close to him. If the authority were divided, he only possessed 30% of the rights to the Great Taoist Formation, and it wasn't something he could stop just because he wanted it to. Damn it! There are too many reserved spirit stones. I don't know if the people behind the formation have noticed anything wrong. Zhuang Liangru, sweating profusely with anxiety, could now only hope that the 100 rivers covering sea array would stop operating on its own. A great Taoist formation like the 100 rivers covering sea array required a massive amount of spirit stones and various resources to operate. To ensure the operation of the formation, Guanchao Pavilion had prepared a lot of spirit stones to be placed inside the array. It was like a car filled with gasoline. Even if Guanchao Pavilion realized there was a problem and stopped feeding the car with more spirit stones, the formation wouldn't stop until all the fuel inside was burnt. Ha ha ha, Sect Master Zhang. I am impressed. You had anticipated this step and set a trap within a trap for them. Lu Jingshi revealed an expression of great joy after a brief shock. When he had first seen Lingfa Temple and the 100 rivers covering sea array appear, he had thought that this sect warfare was doomed to fail. But Ghost Ridge Palace had given him a huge surprise. The activation of the 100 rivers covering sea array had caused the righteous path to lift a stone only to drop it on their own feet. After this battle, the situation where Qingzhou's righteous sect dominates alone will no longer exist. Zhang Junwei smiled as he watched over a dozen Sky Dome rivers roaring towards Guiyanan and Zhuang Liangru. Both Zhuang Liangru and Gui Yannin's complexions changed drastically, and they quickly began to dodge. Even they couldn't withstand such a great Taoist formation. Once involved, they would face a fate where 9 out of 10 would not survive. Chaos. Zhuang Liangru gave a soft shout, using the part of the 100 rivers covering sea array he could control. He barely altered the Sky Dome River's direction near him, avoiding the dangerous Taoist formation. But their movements were all being watched by Zhang Junwei and Lu Jingshi on the opposite side. The two devil masters of the Taoist platform realm didn't need to say much about their utterly callous ability to kick someone when they were down, cooperating tacitly with the Tao formation to attack the two. Zhuang Liangru had to exhaust his spirit to control the attacks from the 100 rivers covering sea array, while also facing Zhang Junwei's siege, quickly falling into a disadvantage and becoming perilously close to danger. Sect Master Lu. Zhang Junwei suddenly spoke out, engaging Zhuang Liangru even more fiercely, pulling the battlefield apart. Lu Jingshi, as a Taoist platform realm expert, had experienced hundreds of big and small battles in his life, and his combat experience and instincts were exceptionally rich. Seeing Zhang Junwei's actions, he didn't need any divine sense transmission to immediately understand Zhang Junwei's intention. Thus, Lu Jingshi desperately tied up his archenemy Gui Yannin, and what was originally one battlefield with 4 Taoist platform realm figures became 2, separated by 20 to 30 kilometers. This gap made it so Zhuang Liangru could no longer take care of Gui Yannin. The part of the 100 rivers covering sea array he controlled couldn't manipulate the Sky Dome River near Gui Yannin from such a far distance. Without Zhuang Liangru's interference, the dozen or so Sky Dome rivers finally had free rein, roaring and entwining, blocking the sky and obscuring the sun, like giant blue pythons devouring the sky, squeezing Gui Yannin tightly. Amitabha. The face of Gui Yannin, head of the Precepts Hall of Lingfa Temple, lost its look of compassion, replaced by an iron blue hue, his eyes almost bursting with fire out of urgency. His body flickered between solid and ethereal, with heavenly might transforming into Buddha's light, dodging under the sweeping Sky Dome rivers. His demon-subduing pestle, when it smashed down, could make the sky tremble, slightly altering the direction of Sky Dome rivers. Lu Jingshi's eyes were cold, staring fixedly at the dodging Gui Yannin. Suddenly, under the covering of several Sky Dome rivers, Lu Jingshi's eyes sharpened. Whoosh! A gust of a ghastly breeze blew by, and a fierce ghost full of evil energy appeared. Its visage was ferocious, its skin pale as paper with 4 eyes, each of different size and color, but all seeming able to peer into the deepest fears of the human heart. Furthermore, instead of normal hands, it had 2 black tentacles dripping with a black liquid, each drop exuding a pungent stench of decay. This was an 8th-grade fierce ghost by the name Earth Evil Ghost. Turning into a black smoke, the Earth Evil Ghost arrived behind Gui Yannin, uncertainly and fleetingly. Its tentacles landed on Gui Yannin's temples, ready to penetrate his brain. Universal Salvation Kasaya. Gui Yannin uttered a curse under his breath, with his Kasaya manifesting layers of golden light in the form of arhats, making the Earth Evil Ghost retreat slightly. Die for me, Lu Jingshi sneered, as the Earth Evil Ghost tore open its chest, revealing a pitch-black void that seemed bottomless, but from within echoed muffled and mad howls, like voices from the depths of hell, chilling to the core. The Earth Evil Ghost was naturally conceived from the Earth's evil energy roots, which were rumored to be the transit point between hell and the human world, notorious for their dense ghostly and demonic energies. An 8th-grade Earth Evil Ghost was said to be able to borrow the power of hell, connecting its body to some unknown, terrifying abyss. Inside the torn chest of the Earth Evil Ghost, pairs of horrifying and bizarre eyes emerged from the darkness, like shadowy demons laughing maliciously, a powerful suction emanating, intending to pull Gui Yannin into the darkness of the chest.